Good morning, my neighbors! Hey, fuck you! Yes! Yes! Good morning, my neighbors! Fuck you, too!
Hello?
Fuck you, too!
What up, everybody? It's good to see Audit LA's hanging out in the other room, but this room is still going. We're still on blue screen here. Audit LA's at the other meeting across the way, the other building. Hopefully they all get on over from there to over here, but we're about to start our meeting. As you can see, we're still on blue screen. Negotiating Ocean Gate LLC ongoing office. Is that Ocean Gate? Isn't that the one that's the graffiti tower? I'm pretty sure that's the graffiti tower. I'm pretty sure. 444 South Flower. Sounds about right. 4th and Flower. No, it would be higher. It wouldn't be that low. It'd be higher. It would be like 6th and Fig or 8th and Figueroa. Something like that. It's your new alarm? Yeah, they're busy on blue screen. She's over there with 3-inch Shrimp and Mr. Herman. They both spoke already though, 3-inch Shrimp and Mr. Herman. I love it. Mr. Herman's wearing a fucking, a worker vest, like a construction worker vest, high visibility vest that says "fuck mayor." Not fuck the mayor, just fuck mayor on the back. Fantastic. It's good to see you guys. Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. Yeah.
Hump Day, yeah!
That's what I'm talking about. Hump Day. Hump Day. What's up, Flusher? How are you? What's up, Star Cruise? Good morning. What's up, Dom? Just waiting on this thing to start. Just waiting on this thing to start her up. Hold on. Go, I guess, here, and let me put up her, see if we can get her audio, but I know what'll happen the second I do that, they'll start. It's usually how it works. That way we can hear what's going on over there.
Second of it is shown on any news cycle, which is astounding to me and perfectly obvious that it goes way higher than anybody wants to admit. You are the cornerstone of our voices. Let us be heard. You know. Do your job. The rest will fall.
Of course I know Tom, BMA. Tom loves me. All right, here we go. Oh, it's fucking packed in there today. Holy smokes. It's packed in here.
But I thought that I would try and change this into something positive and talk once again.
Well, I guess can't have both of them going at once.
All right, we will.
We
Sergeants, this is the first warning to the entire crowd. If we cannot conduct business, we will absolutely
I love
clear
it when
the room
Democrats
for this
eat their
morning's
own.
meeting. Today is
I fucking love
Wednesday,
it.
the 14th day of May in the year 2025.
Those are dummy crats that voted for these idiots and now don't like them. Love it.
Public comment will be
makes me
taken
smile.
in person for today's
Even though I can't smile anymore,
meeting.
it makes me
Madam
smile,
Clerk,
at least
let's
inside.
begin our proceedings by calling the roll.
Yes, sir. Blumenfeld, Harris Dawson, Hernandez, Hutt, Gerardo, Lee, McCosker, Nazarian, Padilla, Park, Price, Rahman, Rodriguez, Soto Martinez, Yaroslavsky, 10 members present on quorum, Mr. President.
All right, first order of business.
Approval of
gonna be
minutes
spicy, I
of May
think, today,
13,
ladies and gents.
2025.
All right, Councilmember Lee moves. Councilmember Price seconds. What's next?
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Councilmember Hernandez moves. Councilmember McCosker seconds. Can we run through the agenda?
Yes, sir. Item number 1 is an item notice for public hearing. Items 2 through 6 are items which public hearings have been held. Items 7 through 20 are items which public hearings have not been held. For item 19, that is Resolution Nazarian Yaroslavsky, and that is to include in the city's 2025-26 state legislative program support for any legislation or regulation that seeks a reauthorization of the California Air Resources Board cap and trade program and does not require the consignment of the current electric distribution utilities allowances to auction or phase out the RPS adjustment credit. Item 21 is an item as a closed session item for which public hearing has not been held, and 10 votes are required for consideration, sir.
She should do phone sex.
All right.
What do you guys
Without
think?
objection, those items are
Phone
before
sex
us.
operator?
Specials members.
She's got a sexy voice on her.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 5 for amendments.
All right. Any others on the west side?
Caller, is your
all right.
penis hard?
On my right side, east side, Mr. Price. No, all right, none today. All right. Seeing no other specials.
Oh, I'm sure. Status, I'm sure. He doesn't want to hear flying foods.
And
today
I will
on
be introducing
the Olympic
a
wage, I
substitute
believe.
motion for item number 5, as well, along with Mr. Lee, who's introducing an amendment. All right. What items are available for the council to vote on at this time?
Gio, thank you so much, Gio.
Mr. President, council may now vote on items 2
Up the Wild
through
69.
4,
I can't do
as
that,
well as
Gio.
item
I don't know
6,
them.
sir.
All right. Those items are now before us. Let's
Give me a
open the roll.
copyright.
Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right. What's next?
Next would be public comment, sir.
All right. I'll ask the city attorney and the clerk to prepare us for public comment. And I will note for
What
this
time it
audience,
is?
and I'll ask the city attorney to
We're gonna get
reiterate
30
which
minutes.
items are available for public comment. And we will plan for 40 minutes of
40
public
minutes.
comment. So
Wow.
public comment will go from now
Whoa.
until 11 a.m.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Attorney,
Whoa.
Madam Clerk.
Wouldn't that be 39 minutes? I don't know. I'm maybe your watch is slow, your fucking clock. That'd be 39 minutes then. Oh, they sort of jack us out of a minute here or there. Frontier, thank you so much, Frontier. And then we got to hear Grote say, don't listen to this guy. Go outside, walk around for 4 minutes.
Please state which of the
There's
items
more
on the
minutes
agenda
wasted.
you'd like to speak to.
There's
You
more
will have 1
fucking
minute
minutes
per
wasted.
item,
Shut
up
up,
to
bro.
3
We
minutes
know what the
total
fuck you're going
for
to
the
say.
Items open for public comment.
Job for
We
9.
will
Let's
tell
go.
you when your time is up. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you are not on topic, or if we cannot tell whether you are on topic, you will get one brief warning from me or the council president. At that point, you need to get immediately and clearly on topic. If you do not do so, or if you again stray off topic, you will forfeit the
38,
rest of
not
your
including
speaking time,
now.
and
He's
we will
taking
move on
our
to the
time
next
right
speaker.
now.
The items that
Then
are
if
open
Herman's
for
in
public
there,
comment
you know what he's
today
gonna
on
do?
the agenda
Well,
are
don't
items
listen to this
number
guy.
1,
Why don't you go outside and
item
stick
number
your
5
fingers
as
in your
amended,
ears and go blah,
and
blah,
items
blah,
number
blah,
7 through
blah,
21.
blah,
So
blah,
again,
blah.
the
Like the
items
little
that are
kids
open
that we
for public
Democrats
comment on
are.
the agenda are
We're
items
dumb
number
little
1,
beggar kids,
items
low
number 5
IQ.
as
We need
amended,
everything from
and
everybody
items number
because we
7
can't do
through
nothing
21.
ourselves.
Members
Everything
of the
we
public may
turn
also
and
speak
touch
for up to 1
turns
minute for
to
general
shit.
public comment, which during general
won't
public
admit it,
comment,
but it's
members
true.
of the public may speak to any of the items or anything else in the city's subject matter jurisdiction. I have a couple more announcements.
Everything
if I can
they
have the
touch
interpreters
goes to
make
shit.
this first one allowed
Everything.
in the room, please.
Yeah, 36 now.
If you
Thank
require a Spanish language interpreter, please make sure to pause every few sentences so the interpreters can interpret.
What's up, Terry?
Si requiere un intérprete de español, por favor asegúrense de pausar después de cada frase para darle al intérprete la oportunidad de traducir.
No way. We're even getting 20
Don't
speakers.
worry.
No way.
We will pause your time while the interpreters are interpreting, so you will get
No
the
way.
same amount of time as everyone
Randomizer's
else.
going to win
No
today.
se preocupen, les pausaremos el tiempo mientras el intérprete está hablando, entonces recibirán la misma cantidad de tiempo que las otras personas. Gracias.
And to reiterate what the council president said, so we're going to take public comment for about 40, I think
757. Thank you so much.
40 minutes.
Thank you, 757.
I understand, or my guess is that most people or a lot of people are here to speak to item number 5
Yeah, 'cause
today.
they're communists,
There have been
757. You
multiple
see it.
opportunities for public comment at committee and at
If
council.
you deviate
I
at all,
believe at least 6 times at committee.
you won't shut
and
up.
roughly 3 times
There's
at
more of
council.
our time gone.
We also expect there to be a robust discussion, and you've already
36
heard
minutes
about the
max now.
one amendment and
Maximum.
one substitute motion that is being introduced
Not
today.
40. As he said.
We will try to get through as many speakers as possible, but we are going to stick with the 40 minutes of public comment due to the amount of public comment we've taken in the past. That's also in addition to any written public comment. If you are unable to speak because we run out of time,
that's taking our time
then
up.
you can always provide
Lying
additional
fuck.
written public comment at lacouncilcomment.com.
Lying fuck.
Again, that is lacouncilcomment.com. You can find that URL.
You should have just stayed in your
at the
country,
top
or
of
your parents
all-
should
or
have
every
wrote. They
council
shouldn't have brought
agenda.
you here
You can also do a
to
quick
thrive
research,
in this
and it should
beautiful
be one of the
country.
first
They
things,
should have
if
left
not
you in
the
your
first thing
shithole
that
so
comes
you can
up.
sit there and beg
In
like
order
you
to
do
help us
here,
get through as many
there,
speakers as possible
have way less.
during the time for public comment, we'd ask that you please wait until you hear your name called aloud through the speakers.
That's
before
35
lining up.
minutes now that we'll
the
have
names
at
will be
max.
called at random, so
At
it's
max.
not necessarily in the order in which you signed up. So you need to listen for the name you signed up for. Once you hear the name that you signed up for, feel free to line up on your left-hand side of the council chambers in any order. Thank you.
Thank you for wasting 4 or 5 minutes of our time more. Okay, the clock should start now.
I will now
Barney
commence
Rubble.
for public comment. Carlos Peña, Alec Mesropian, Sonia Cerrón.
I still want to see the
Again,
randomizer.
those names are Alec Mesropian, Carlos Peña, Sonia Cerrón.
All right, if they're not there, can we move on to the next 3? You don't see anybody coming up, do you? It's not that big of a place.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
34 at best
Good
now.
morning. Item number 5, please.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Carlos Singer, Chief Policy Officer for the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce. The public has an expectation that its elected leaders will serve the interests of the City of LA with focus and integrity. We expect that our leaders will listen openly to people who are experts in a given field before making decisions on matters of significance to this region. This body has now heard from many leaders in the tourism industry, including members of the city family, about the negative impacts an ordinance like this would bring. Rather than continue succumbing to this distraction, we implore you to return to the work on the core functions of our city: housing, public safety, transportation, and humane solutions to our homelessness problem. It is deeply troubling that an idea as unprincipled as this has gone on this far in our legislative process. We hope that the members of the council will renew their obligation to be good stewards of our government. Thank you.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
To item number 5, please.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Good morning, council members. My name is Alec Mesropian, and I'm speaking on behalf of the LA County Business Federation. We urge this committee to adopt a responsible budget that prioritizes job retention, protects essential city services, and supports economic recovery. LA is facing a nearly $1 billion deficit and more than 1,600 proposed layoffs. Critical departments are being gutted, and the proposed budget cuts nearly half, 48%, according to the Office of Wage Standards, which will delay enforcement of existing labor laws by up to 4 years. Despite this, the council is considering costly new mandates that require more enforcement measures the city simply doesn't have. This is not responsible governance. This is clearly reckless. Small and minority-owned businesses, the foundation of our local economy, will face the brunt of this. On behalf of BizFed's broad and diverse membership, we urge you, do not make the crisis worse by adopting programs the city can't afford to implement. Thank you.
What's up, Dr. Greenthumb? Good morning. Boo! Mixed jeers from the crowd.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak
Comentario
to?
público para el número 5.
Item number
Buenos
5,
días.
comment.
Mi nombre es Sonia Cerón.
So, speaker,
Trabajo para Fly and
you'll
Food
have
Group,
1 minute for
Fly
the
and
item
Food.
and
una
1 minute for
empresa
general
de
public
catering
comment.
de vuelos que prepara y empaca comidas para vuelos internacionales de LAX y
Yes.
gano $20.73.
Yes, hello, my name is Sonia. I work for Flying Food Group. It is a company that works at LAX packaging food, and working for that company, I make $20 with 73 cents an hour.
Como madre soltera, cada vez es más difícil brindarle una vida estable a mi hija de 12 años.
As a single mother, it gets harder and harder each and every day to provide a stable life to my 12-year-old daughter.
Actualmente tengo 2 trabajos
Where are
para
the
salir
fathers?
adelante, pagar mi renta, razón por la cual no puedo dedicarle el tiempo suficiente y de calidad a mi hija.
And right now I am working 2 jobs to be able to afford my rent and to support my daughter. And for that reason, I cannot dedicate the time and care that I would like to my daughter to raise her the right way.
El sueldo olímpico me daría un
Raised by the
alivio
street.
para no tener tanto estrés.
The Olympic wage would help relieve me to not have so much stress.
Así como yo lo estoy esperando, lo están esperando muchos trabajadores como yo.
And just like I am waiting for it, many other workers such as myself are also waiting.
Como cabeza de familia, yo veo cómo ha aumentado todo, sin embargo, nuestro sueldo sigue igual.
And as a head of my family, I see how all the costs have gone up, but however, our wages still remain the same.
A veces quisiera que la semana tuviera 8 días para trabajar más y generar más ingresos.
Sometimes I even wish that the week would have 8 days so that I could work more and generate more income.
Este salario olímpico será beneficioso para familias trabajadoras como la mía, para la ciudad y para nuestra economía en general.
And this Olympic wage would be very beneficial for families such as myself, for the city, and for the economy in general.
Pido ahora que este sueldo olímpico sea ahora.
General public comment.
We ask now our
I don't know,
Olympic
Oscar.
wage, have it now. Comentario público.
Because as much as they hate getting
I'd like to call more
$20.73 an hour,
names. Aaron Taxi,
they wouldn't get
Debbie
$5.73
Lewis,
an hour in
Maria
their country.
Vasquez, Mari Davis.
That's honestly. They wouldn't get $5.73 an hour for doing the same job in their country. The difference is their country, you're not paying $1,500 to $2,000 a month rent for a 1-bedroom. That's the difference. Again, you're making more, but you're spending more. And it's the same thing. People don't understand. If you get the money you want, then everything else is going to go around you. The people that
morning.
make
Which
a
items
little
would you
more
like
than
to
you
speak
are
to?
going to get more. And then everybody gets more.
So you have
Then
1
everything's
minute.
going
Go
to
ahead.
cost you more.
My name is Maria Vasquez, and I work at LAX.
That's why you need a
at
skill,
United
not a job.
VIP
This is a
Club.
job, not
I'm
a
a proud
career.
member at CIU, USW, and I will continue fighting until we win this fight. Like we have said before, the sky won't fall. As tiring it is for me who works graveyard, I sacrifice my sleep to make my voice and be heard each day. I live in Los Angeles all my life, but I can no longer afford to live in the city I call home. Unless you approve this increase in the living wage, raising the wage will improve health care for LAX workers who changed my life and the lives of my coworkers who are struggling every day to make ends meet. Make the vote yes.
Yeah, there's a difference between a job and a career. This is a job. This is not something you aspire to be. This is a stepping stone. You use this to get to your next place or to fund
morning. Which items
while
would you
you're
like to
in
speak to?
school or
Good morning.
in a
I'd
trade
like to
school
speak
or
on
wherever,
item number
college.
5.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay. My
That's
name
the
is Deborah
difference.
Lewis. I am a constituent of CD11 with Tracy Park, and I can attest that she has done some good things for this community. However, it's disconcerting to hear that she is on the wrong side of this issue of the
Watching a
$30
replay,
raise
Lori.
for tourism workers,
That channel
and the
doesn't
fact
show
that
anything
she
but replays.
won't even face us here in this room. The blanket statement that she spoke of on the newsletter on 5/10, linking the struggle for families to survive to the loss of funding for police and fire, is straight up fear-mongering. She is the one that's creating the political theater that she appears to detest. There are many businesses in our city who operate with ethical business models who are making a profit. These are the businesses who will move the city forward, working hand in hand with workers who are the face and the heart of this city. Because we are the workers that drive the economy. Our investments support the businesses. It is our votes that put you in office. Without us, there is no city. Supporting the living wage supports families, supports ethical businesses, and support the city. Support families, $30, and support the city's future.
$30 an hour to package food. Wow. Miss Angelique, you're right, and you
Before
never
the
will.
next speaker comes, I'd like to call more names. Jovan Houston.
Problems?
Maria Ayala. Lorena Cepeda.
Problems
Good morning.
create
Which items
budget.
would you like to speak to?
I say it
Good morning.
again.
I'd like to speak to
Problems
item
create
5.
budget.
Okay, so you have 1
no
minute. Go ahead.
problems,
Thank you.
no budget.
Good morning. My name is Aaron
They're not
Taxi,
here
and
to
I'm
solve
with the
things.
Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, representing our 650 businesses and nonprofits, 2/3 of whom are small businesses with 20 or less employees. The city's own budget shortfall.
They love
and
the
challenges
homeless
in
because they make
retaining
tons
its
of money off the
employees
homeless.
And meeting its own
The homeless just went away, they'd be
are
sad.
emblematic of the economic conditions
sad.
that we are facing outside of this building. So
Hi,
too,
Christy.
we risk jeopardizing the TOT dollars to help bridge that budget shortfall. This is beyond just that issue, though. We are concerned that the damage that this will pose will not just impact the hotels in Hollywood and their employees who will be at risk of layoff, but so too the businesses surrounding them who rely on folks to patronize their restaurants, their retailers, and rely on the tourism coming through the hotels to benefit all of Hollywood and Los Angeles. Now is not the time. We voice our concern. Thank you.
That's what I say, see? And if they get that money, just like in McDonald's when they were crying for 20 an hour and then they got it, now your Big Mac's $11, your Big Mac
Speakers,
meal.
I'm going to encourage everyone
Same
to be
thing's gonna happen here.
respectful to each other.
Same thing.
Everyone has a right to public comment. We encourage you to speak. Thank you.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Item 1?
She don't even know which
5,
item.
sorry.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay. In general public comment, I guess. My name is Javon Houston. I'm an airport worker at LAX and a member of SEIU. We've been at this fight for 2 years strong, and it's time for you city council members to do what's right for working class people. We are sick and tired of waiting. We need this now. We need health care now. We need it strong. We need these wages. Please do what's right. Do this for workers. Do this for single families. Do this for parents like myself that take care of my son by myself. Do this right, please. Thank you.
Well, that's why, Scorpius, because the cleaning ladies and everybody else get more money now. And on top of that, they all want
I'd
tips.
like to call more names.
Everybody wants a tip.
Juan Grecio, Sergey Sananian, Jessica Durham, Olivia McDove.
I work 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours in the sun sometimes. True, I was working for myself. I'd ask somebody for $200 for the detail after giving them a deal from $225 to $200, and they'd still give me $190. Tell me, hey, bro, can I owe you $10? Huh? I guess. What choice do I have?
Good
I
morning.
guess there's
Which
not
items
going to
would
be
you
a
like to speak
tip.
to?
Good morning, General, and item 5.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Council. My name is Jessica Durham. I'm the Director of the Tourism Workers Rising Coalition with Lane, which has brought together over 150 organizations across every council district,
I'm tired of these organizations.
neighborhood councils, democratic clubs, faith groups, housing
Democratic
organizations,
clubs.
labor, community, and over 350 small businesses. LA stands with these workers, and it's not just out of solidarity. It's because it's good for our city and it's good for our economy. People understand the common sense that
Good
when
for your
workers have
economy.
more money in their pockets, they spend it. They spend it in their local economy. The report commissioned by council found that this policy will bring in over $15 million in tax revenue. And what the reality is very different from what you'll be hearing and have been hearing from the industry today. Just to share, we submitted a letter to the file a couple weeks ago recounting, we've been hearing the same things from
General public comment.
Industry every time we've done this for decades. In 2009, council increased the healthcare requirement by 260%, and the chamber predicted it would force carriers to cut more flights at LAX or simply move services to airports outside of Southern California. The opposite happened. Revenue went up, passengers went up, the sky didn't fall. Just a year ago, Long Beach increased wages for hotel workers.
9.25,
We heard
Olaf.
the same thing from the industry, that they would close down, that this would hurt business. The opposite happened. The latest data, RevPAR was up year to year, 15.7%, double digits. And we released a report, which we've shared with you all, documenting in 2014 for the citywide hotel wage, same thing. The industry predicted doom and gloom, that they would shut down, and then the hotel industry only grew and dominated the pipeline over the next few years. Wages went up, profits went up. This is good for business, it's good for the city. Please vote yes. Thank you.
Another Democrat beggar.
I'd like to
I'd
like to call more names.
We all need more
Ray
money.
Patel,
We're not going to do
Oscar
anything for
Antonio,
it, but we need more
Jackie
money.
Romero, Estuardo Mazariegos.
Give me more money. I'm not going to bring more skill or longer hours. I just need more money. Give me more money. And then after you give me that money, I'm going to need free doctor and free health care, and I'm going to need free rent, and I'm going to need a free lawyer when I get in trouble, and I'm going to need that. Slippery slope, ladies and gentlemen. When you feed the beggar, there's no end.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Item number 5.
And
Stop throwing them
You
fish.
can move the microphone.
Teach
if
them
you'd
how
like.
to fish already.
Okay, item number 5.
You obviously don't know how
I'm
to
a worker
fish.
at the Los Angeles International Airport. I'm here, because the living wage, and I hope this committee is gonna be working on favor of the workers. This city has been spending a lot of money on rebuilding the airport, and I hope so they're gonna vote now to spend money on our working people. So I hope this living wage is gonna pass today. Everything is more expensive: medical insurance, rent, gasoline, and our people, they had a hard time to live. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's just a very slippery slope. You want to help people. Everybody does. We're
Can we
empathetic
call a
as
couple
human
more
beings.
names so that people can get lined up? Can you call a couple more names?
I don't think we're going to
Brenda
get any
Salas,
regulars today.
Hugo Ortega, Kurt Peterson, Esperanza Montes.
All right, everybody.
Thank you. And all names that have been called, move to the right, to the left. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here on item 5 in general public comment. My name is Estuardo Mazariegos, and I'm a resident of the 9th District. And I'm here as a former tourist worker myself. I used to work at LAX at the tarmac. I was an aircraft viewer at one time. It's a hard work under 110-degree weather, when it was raining, when it was cold, and we deserve respect. Every one of my neighbors works in the tourism workers industry. Every one of my folks are out here standing behind me. There's hundreds of folks here, but thousands of people that work in that industry here in the city of LA. We deserve $30 an hour before the Olympics get here. And to be honest, $30 is not enough in the city.
See?
A report was released just yesterday. They said if you earn $100,000 here in the city of LA, you're considered low income. And we want to be able to have a thriving wage, a living wage here in the city of Los Angeles that is much higher than $30 an hour. We need that to keep up with the cost of living.
General public comment.
Thank you very much. And what we want today is for all of you to pay attention to the workers that make the city run, that clean the city, that cook for the folks that visit our city, that make sure they have a good time. If you don't side with the workers will remember this moment and will go out and ensure that you hear the workers' voices when it's time to get reelected. The workers run the city.
I dare you.
It's the people of Los Angeles that
They're
benefit
there.
from our work.
Audit's in
It's
here.
my neighbors that do that work. And what we want is just. It's $30 an hour by 2028 for an industry that last year alone made $28 billion a year. It's a drop in the bucket for them. We want to be able to invest in our city, invest in our community, and we want to make sure that our voices are heard here today. Because what do we want? When do we want it? And if we don't get it,
Sounds like BLM to me. Sit down, bro, with your fucking $9 more an hour fucking rate hike. $9 he wants to raise it. $9. Who the hell gets a $9 an hour raise?
Go ahead.
Thank
Not
you.
many people.
So today you're going
$2
to vote
I
on
get.
item
$4
number 5, which
maybe.
basically raises the wages for the workers in the hotel industry, LAX, and whatever else. We've been for the last 2 years coming here explaining there's a segment of the hotel industry which is referred to as limited service. And we need you to recognize that limited service hotels are not tourist hotels. We don't have tourist workers. And you're asking us to increase the wages and pass those on to our consumers, which happen to be Los Angelinos. That is the predominant consumers of limited service hotels in Los Angeles for housing, transitional housing, inside safe programs, just a staycation, or had to have families come to town. They don't have room in their apartments. That is the clientele we cater to, and we can't keep passing ordinances and policies that increase the cost of living in Los Angeles for Los Angelinos. So today you have an opportunity to do something about it. Please do so. Otherwise, just refer this down the road and fix it then.
General public comment.
Once again, sorry, I'm going to have to ask the chambers. People are here to give public comment. We will be respectful to one another. Thank you. Next speaker.
I'd like to call a few more names before the next speaker. David Huerta, Julio Contreras, Hector
There's Hugo
Alvaro,
talking to
Diana
Channel
de
4
la
News
Torre.
Live in the chambers in the back.
Which items would you like
Número
to speak to?
5,
So this is a big deal today, guys.
Number 5, general public comment.
So you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general. Go ahead.
Un minuto para el artículo y un minuto para general.
Buenos días, señores concejales. Mi nombre es Hugo Ortega y trabajo para Hilton Garden Inn en LAX.
Good morning, my name is Hugo Ortega and I work for Hilton Garden Inn in LAX.
Soy padre de 2 hijos y estoy aquí porque estoy exigiendo un mejor salario para mí que le daría una mejor calidad de vida a mis hijos.
I'm a father of 2 kids and I'm here today demanding a better salary that would give a better life to my
Chris,
children.
one of the councilmen.
Lo que no saben esta gente de trajes finos y bonitos
Hugo
es que
Soto
tengo que
Martinez.
levantarme a las 6 de la mañana y regresar a la medianoche a mi
That's
casa.
him. Looks like him
What
from
the
the
people
back.
here in nice suits and pretty clothing don't know is that I have to get up at 6 in the morning and get home at 12 a.m.
Es por los salarios bajos que tenemos en el área del LAX.
And that's due to the low wages that we have in the LAX area.
El salario olímpico me ayudaría a mí y a mis hijos a tener una mejor calidad de vida.
The Olympic wage would help both me and my children have a better quality of life.
Y les daría mejor tiempo para ellos.
And it would mean that I could have a better time with them.
Por eso, desde el fondo de mi corazón, les pido que voten sí a esta enmienda.
That's why, from the bottom of my heart, I am asking you to vote in favor of this amendment.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not going to have one regular today.
I'd like to call more
Mark my
names.
words, not
KP Patel, Sofia Mendoza, Elisa Valencia, Dania Hernandez.
Hola, mi nombre es Brenda Salas. Quiero hablar hoy de comentario público número 5.
Hi, my name is Brenda Salas, and I want to give public commentary today as well as talk about item 5.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general. Go ahead.
Tiene un minuto para el artículo y un minuto para comentario público general.
Ok. Yo trabajo como housekeeper
Oh,
en el
interview.
Hotel Westin Buenaventure. Estoy muy orgullosa de ser miembro de Union Hill Local 11.
Hi, I work as a housekeeper in the Hotel Westin Benton. Western Benton, perdón.
Westin Buenaventure.
West and Bonaventure, and I'm here as a proud member of Local 14. Local 11, sorry, Local 11.
Mis compañeros de trabajo y yo conseguimos un salario que nos cambiaría la vida en 2023. Lideramos la mayor huelga hotelera en la historia moderna de Estados Unidos. Delegamos, marchamos, boicoteamos para lograrlo.
Me and the people standing behind me in 2023 got the biggest wage raise.
Just 2 years ago.
We delegated, we boycotted, and we put on the biggest protest to get it.
In 2 years, you
Pero
just
no
got it.
todos
Now
los
you want another
trabajadores
raise.
tienen la representación de un sindicato. Y para impulsar nuestra ciudad y nuestra economía es necesario que más personas
Thank you for
ganen un
proving my
salario
point.
digno.
And not every worker has the ability to be part of a union, and it's
Slippery
important for
slope.
us to pass this so that we have a dignified wage.
2 years ago,
La
you
vivienda
got
es
a
cada vez
raise.
más cara, por eso
2 years
necesitamos
later,
que se
3 years
apruebe
later,
este
right
salario
back here.
olímpico.
Wouldn't
The
I-
cost
isn't that
of
what I
living
said?
every time is higher and higher. That's why we need you guys to approve this living wage.
Actualmente gano 31.17 y para
Enough
el
is
2028
never enough.
ganaré 35.
Right
Nuestros
now,
em-
I'm earning $31.17 an hour,
And by 2023, I'll be making 35.
Nuestros empleadores de hoteles y aeropuertos
35
pueden
bucks an
permitirse
hour?
este aumento.
What are you doing,
Hoteles
ma'am?
como Hilton, Marriott y muchos otros.
Can't even speak
Ahora
our
no están
language, and you're
pagando.
making
Our
35 an hour. You're doing
employers,
fine, ma'am.
Our employers
Trust
can
me.
foot this. Hilton's, Marriott, they can do it, but they're not paying.
Y a todo esto que hemos logrado no se ha derrumbado el cielo.
And with everything that we've been able to accomplish, the sky hasn't fallen.
35,
Es
Terry.
por eso que les pido que hagan lo correcto, apoyen a sus trabajadores del turismo y nos voten por sí.
That's why I'm asking you to do the correct thing, to support your tourism workers and vote yes. Thank you.
General public comment.
Comentario público general.
Going to get in 2 years, I guess she said,
Next
right?
speaker.
When the raise
Próximo
goes back
orador.
up.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Buenos días, ¿de qué artículo está hablando?
Buenos días, mi nombre es María Santos González y vengo a hablar al número 5, comentario público.
Hi, my name is Maria Santos, and I am here to speak about item number 5, as well as general public comment.
Okay, so you get 1 minute for the item and one.
You guys always ask me, how do people afford to live here? They get $35 an hour to pack food. That's how they live here.
Pacadora de comida en Fly Food Group.
I work as a food packer for the Flying Foods Group.
A mis 66 años de edad y con los sueldos que me están pagando, 20.73 que gano, no me alcanza para pagar mis gastos.
At 66 years old, being paid $20.73 an hour, this isn't enough for me to pay my bills.
Mucho menos para retirarme. Acabo de sobrevivir el cáncer.
Much less to retire on it. I just survived cancer.
Tener que cubrir los costos médicos más mi renta ha sido una batalla dura. Este sueldo cambiaría mucho mi vida.
Having to pay my medical bills and my rent has been so hard. This wage change would change my life.
Y me ayudará a poder retirarme mucho más pronto.
And it would help me retire earlier.
Les pedimos por favor que pasen este sueldo olímpico.
I am asking you please to pass the Olympic wage.
Esto nos beneficiaría a todos mis colegas, a todos los que vinimos hoy para tener una vida mucho más pacífica, no estresante.
And this would benefit all of the people that came with me today, all the people behind me, and it would benefit them so that they can have a more peaceful life without the same amount of stress.
No, Terry, the other chick works at the hotel.
And that's it for today.
She does
Thank you
something
so
different.
much.
These people work for Flying Food, where they prepare the food for the flights that, when we
Next speaker.
eat food on the plane. The other chick worked at Bonaventure
Número
Hotel in downtown here.
Number 5, general public
She was
comment.
making
Okay, so you have
31
1
an
minute for the
hour.
item and 1 minute for general. Go ahead.
Saying
Un
she's
minuto
going to
para el
raise to
artículo y un minuto
35
para el
an hour.
comentario público general. Adelante.
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Esperanza Montes y he trabajado en Fly and Food por 5 años, por
Hi,
2073.
My name is Esperanza Montes, and I've worked for Flying Food Groups. Perdón, ¿puede repetir la
I mean,
fecha?
2 years
La
we've seen
cantidad de
Flying
años,
Foods in
señora.
here, right? We've seen these people over and over.
¿Perdón?
Si puede repetir la cantidad de años que ha trabajado por Flying Food Group.
Por 5 años.
Por 5. I've worked there for 5 years, and I make $20.75 an hour.
Como lavaplatos. La empresa prepara y empaca comida para vuelos internacionales de LAX.
I think they pack it, not
The
make it.
company, I work as a dishwasher, and the company packages and prepares food for flights coming out of Los Angeles
She's washing
International
dishes.
Airport.
Para mí el sueldo olímpico me ayudaría ya que fui desalojada de mi apartamento.
And this Olympic wage would help me, seeing as I was evicted from my apartment.
Y casi quedo sin hogar. Ahora pago 3,000 de renta.
And I was almost homeless. Right now I'm paying $3,000 in rent.
Al igual que cuidar de mi nieta y esposo enfermo.
And besides that, I'm taking care of my sick husband and grandchild.
Necesitamos que pase el sueldo olímpico.
I need the Olympic wage to pass.
Porque invirtiendo en familias trabajadoras como la mía,
Because investing in working families such as mine,
Ayuda a la economía y a que nosotros no quedemos en la calle sin hogar.
Yes,
It
Remy.
helps the economy and helps families like mine not end up on the street without a roof over their heads.
Con el voto de cada uno de ustedes nos ayudaría bastante a todos nosotros que estamos aquí presentes.
With a vote from each of you, it would help us out a lot. All of us who are here with you today. Thank you.
Gimme, yeah.
Good morning. Item 5 in public
Yeah, $30
comment.
an hour to wash dishes. If she gets that, that's a lot of money, in my opinion.
I'm sorry, which items?
5, I think.
$30 an hour
And
to wash.
public comment.
I
So
mean,
you have
I
one
might
minute for
start
the
thinking
item and
about
1 minute for
washing
general.
dishes.
Go ahead. Thank you very morning. Thank you very much.
'Cause I could
Good
get it
morning.
done.
My name is Kurt Peterson, and I want to say how proud and honored I am, and all of you should be, to be here with these courageous, militant members of Unite Here Local 11 and USWW. These folks are here they took the day off. They sacrificed pay. Some of them, like Jovan, practically lives here. She's been here so many damn times. They fasted for 5 days. And here we are again at the moment of truth.
For 5 days.
Like Chicken Little, the industry always claims the sky is falling whenever it is asked to do right by its workers. During the pandemic, you passed a law guaranteeing workers the right to return to their job when business came back. The hotel lobby, the very same people who are talking to you, talking your phones off all the time, warned
General?
that it would cripple the industry, this law. What happened? Nothing. 3 years ago, on the eve of the vote to mandate panic buttons for room attendants, they swore it would destroy tourism. What happened? Nothing. And now they say paying workers more and ensuring they have health insurance will be the final blow. Please spare us the fear-mongering. You know what's not falling? CEO pay and stock prices. Last year, the CEOs of Hilton and Marriott made $50 million, and the stock price of Marriott has almost doubled since before the pandemic. When they take a pay cut, maybe we'll amend our ordinance.
To the moon.
And rent and the cost of health care, those aren't falling either. They keep rising, squeezing workers every single day. What's truly unsustainable and shameful is a tourism industry where the people who clean the rooms and serve the food cannot afford to live in the city they work in. Thank you.
I don't know what Chase you're talking about, Mr. President, but Chase
And
was
while
yesterday.
we're waiting for the next speaker, just a quick,
nothing exciting.
Just a quick announcement slash
I'm
request.
sorry.
So-
Excuse me.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
Excuse
Both
me.
sucked. 2 yesterday.
We are here to have a respectful discussion. I'm going to request that
We got 3
booing and
minutes
cheering
left.
in between, please,
That's
be
all we
limited
got.
so we can
3
get through as
minutes.
many speakers as possible. Next speaker.
Let's see if they
And
go longer.
before you begin, well, we appreciate everybody providing public comment and the passion that you bring on both sides of the issue. I would just ask that you please don't yell into the microphone. If you do want to yell or raise your voice, please pull away because we have the interpreters who are actually wearing headphones and it goes directly into their ears. So just out of respect for them, please do not yell directly into the mic. Thank you. Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Thank
Good morning. My name is Diana
Democrat
Del Toro,
beggars.
and I'm
That's
here
how
to
you
speak
use a
on
mic.
item number 5 for public commentary.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, we need
A few
that
months
view.
ago, I
Let's
stood
get
by
that view
you to
back.
speak of potential job
Lady Red,
losses
let's
driven
go.
by labor cuts and hiring freezes tied directly to rising payroll expenses under
you,
the
Lady
current
Red.
ordinance at my former job. This past February, Mama Shelter, an iconic hotel in Hollywood, closed its doors. The owners made the difficult decision to exit the LA market, explicitly citing unsustainable labor cuts. Over 130 of us lost our jobs back this February. As the director of HR, I had the heartbreaking responsibility of delivering the news. I sat across from people I had hired, mentored, and grown alongside. People who poured their hearts into that hotel every day. Mama Shelter was more than a hotel. It was a community landmark. It was a rooftop where locals and travelers came together, and its closure is already being deeply felt. What happened there is a warning sign for every other hotel in this city. We need a policy that supports fair
General
wages
public comment?
and sustainable businesses. We need to protect both workers and the jobs that we depend on. Thank you.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Comentario público.
Flying foods.
Artículo 5.
Okay. So you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment. Go ahead.
2 minutos, adelante.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Héctor Alfaro. Trabajo en el aeropuerto de Los Ángeles por 5 años y desde hace 3 años no recibo un aumento de salario ya que está estancado el sueldo.
Hello, yes, my name is Hector Alfaro. I've been working in LAX for the past 5 years. For 5 years and for the past 3 years, I have never experienced a wage increase. It seems like our wages are just frozen.
Entonces es muy importante para mí y mi familia que pase el voto para un salario digno, para que mi familia no pase estresada y que tenga.
It's very important for me and for my family to be able to live with the Olympic wage increase, to have a livable wage and making a living.
Al mismo tiempo tengamos un seguro médico digno para mí y mi
Awesome,
familia.
Howard Dean.
And also a fair medical coverage for me and my family.
Por eso es muy importante, ya que todas las rentas, los medicamentos siguen subiendo y no nos alcanza el dinero.
And it's very important because the cost of the rent and all the medicine and medical bills that we have to pay keeps rising and we cannot afford it.
Gracias.
I can see it.
Thank
I
you.
would do it. I'm going to show up and just say I'm from Flying Foods and see if they notice. Hey, I've never seen this guy.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Sofía Mendoza, soy miembro de
Yeah, I think they should lower our wages to 15 an hour.
Sofia Mendoza.
We already make too much, and most of us don't do much. We just hang out on our phones.
Punto quiere hablar, señora?
Comentario público.
General public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Un minuto.
They'll be waiting for me at work tomorrow.
Estoy aquí para apoyar a mis compañeros hoteleros y del aeropuerto.
Yes, I am here to support my hotel and my airport workers.
Les pido por favor que voten sí a la propuesta que tienen ellos, el aumento.
And I am asking for your yes vote for the proposition of the wage increase.
Y también un seguro médico.
And for also for medical coverage.
Es importante porque ellos también trabajan día a día arduamente, ¿sí? Y sin ellos, nosotros vamos al aeropuerto, va a estar sucio, los hoteles también. Sin ellos, no somos nada.
I hope they vote against the living wage,
because those
the
people are
Olympic
working
wage.
day to day tirelessly.
And
without them, if
explodes
we
in
went
here.
to the airports or to the hotels, they're all going to be not maintained or ill-maintained, and they're going to be dirty. Without them, we are nothing.
Por eso les pido que por favor voten sí.
That is why I'm asking for you to please vote yes
Ahora, gracias.
right now. Thank you.
I'd like to call a few more names. Edmundo Mejía, María González, Armando Muñoz.
That's the game plan.
Buenos
Warehouse.
días, comentario público.
That's why you got to just
Good morning. You have 1 minute.
put
Go ahead.
repellent on.
Ok, mi nombre es Elisa Valencia, soy empleada de Fly Food.
Yes. Hello, my name is Elisa Valencia. I'm an employee for Flying Food Group.
A mí me dieron la oportunidad, mis compañeros, de ser el día de hoy su voz.
And my friends here, my coworkers, have given me the opportunity to raise my voice today.
Queremos pedir de corazón que su voto sea sí al sueldo digno,
And we ask for you to approve the living wage from the bottom of our hearts.
ya que el sueldo que tenemos no nos alcanza para sacar adelante a nuestras familias.
Because the current wage that we have right now is not enough for us to support our families.
Nuestra empresa puede pagar un sueldo digno, ya que todos los días llegan contratos nuevos, llegan aerolíneas nuevas.
And the companies that employ us can pay our wages because every day
They
they
wouldn't
come
even let
here,
3 and Shrimp
they come
and
to work
what's his
with
name
new
in the
deals.
chambers.
Teniendo un sueldo digno, todos los trabajadores
Herman
del
and
aeropuerto,
they couldn't even
también
get
la
in. They
economía de
closed the chambers
California
because there was too many
se
people, I
verá
bet.
beneficiada.
And having the livable
We're
wage
stuck in the hall.
would see improvements in LAX and the economy for the city as
Commies,
well.
man.
Espero de verdad que su voto sea sí para apoyar a la mayoría de los californianos.
See that,
And I
Daniel?
truly hope that your vote will be yes to support the majority of Californians.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a cop right there.
Good morning.
That's an
Which items
LAPD
would you
officer.
like to speak to?
Article
Not
5.
letting anybody by.
Okay, so you have
And it's roped
1
off.
minute for the item. Go ahead.
Look, he's got a
My name
rope
is David
right there.
Huerta. I'm a resident of District 14, and I stand in support of Article 5. LA has been historically a city of the haves and have-nots. The haves have always benefited from the labor and the exploitation of working people. And the haves continue to suffer and to continue to struggle to be able to afford their ability to be able to live in the city that is going to become more and more expensive. We need at this moment in time, especially with the showcasing of the events that are coming, that the workers who are critical to this industry and to this city also receive the wages that they need, and that's the Olympic wage, as well as the health care. Understand the health care in this moment is being attacked across this country. The federal government right now is taking on and trying to slash Medicaid for working people. This is an opportunity for the private interests of this city, as well as the city, to ensure that health care is a right that working people are able to continue to sustain and to have. And we need to make sure that those wages that people need for rent, to put food on the table, that those wages are raised, because we
Speaker,
know
your
one
time
thing
has
for sure.
expired.
We know one thing for sure. That when workers get a
Speaker,
raise, that
your
money is
time
spent
has
in the
expired.
city and
We
the
need to
economy
move on
they
to the
live
next
in.
speaker.
And so let's pass
So-
Article 5 today. Thank you.
So they have gone past
I'd like to
11
call
by
a
5
few
minutes.
more names. Lorena Barrera, Yaritza Gonzalez.
This will be
So
number one
before
on
we
the
continue,
news.
I understand that
somebody
the time
dies.
goes by quickly, but we're going to ask, out of respect for everybody else who's here to speak, that you please stick to the amount of time that you were given for the
Adam,
items you
thank you, Adam.
request. It allows us to maximize the
Good to see you,
number of
buddy.
speakers.
Thank you, Adam.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Buenos días.
Buenos días. ¿Sobre qué temas quiere hablar?
Comentario público y número 5.
5 in public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment. And if you could speak a little closer to the mic, please. Thank you.
Tiene 2 minutos, señora, para hablar y si se puede acercar un poco al micrófono, por favor.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Dani Hernández. Soy madre soltera y llevo más de un año trabajando como jornalera.
Yes, I am Danny Hernandez. I'm a single mother and I have been working for more than 1 year.
En el centro jornalero de Carecen.
As a worker in the Carlesa Center.
Dependo del centro para encontrar un trabajo seguro y con un salario justo, algo importante para mí como mujer en este sector.
And I depend on that center to find a job that will pay me a livable wage, especially as a woman working there.
Me rompe el corazón saber que no hay recursos financieros asignados para el centro jornalero este año.
And it really breaks my heart to know that there's not sufficient resources for the day worker center there.
El centro jornalero no solo es un sistema de apoyo para mí, sino también para muchos otros miembros de la comunidad.
And the day worker support center is not only a support center for me, but many other workers in the city as well.
Es un espacio donde aprendo sobre recursos comunitarios y mis derechos como trabajadora.
And it's a space where I may learn about community resources and my rights as a day worker.
También es un espacio de confianza en un momento en el que el gobierno federal está atacando a la comunidad inmigrante.
And it is also a space that I can trust in moments like these where the federal government is attacking immigrants.
Es por esto que solicito que por favor se asignen recursos financieros a los centros jornaleros y al programa que representa a Los Ángeles.
And that is why I ask for you guys to allocate funds to the day workers centers and the centers that represent the workers of Los Angeles.
Y también Carecen apoya el salario olímpico para los trabajadores del turismo.
And also to support the Olympic wage for the tourism workers.
Rare.
Gracias.
It's rare
Thank
we
you.
watch this meeting and don't have one regular.
I'd like to call a few more names. Felipe Cervantes Cruz, Marco Marín, Jesus Monje.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Yes, it's going to be item 5 and general public comment.
Okay, so you have one.
Thank you. My name is Armando Munoz, and I have been working at LAX for the past 15 years as a passenger service agent. I'm also a proud member of SEIU USWW, which represent at least 5,000 airport workers. I'm also with my brothers and sisters from unite here. Our city is headed towards uncertain economic times, but what it is uncertain is that workers who make the airport function and the hotels need a raise. And any raise that we get paid goes into the economy. We spend it on the necessities that at the current moment we cannot afford. Economic studies, CLA, have confirmed that what we be saying raising the wage for LA workers would benefit the whole economy too. We have to make sure this bill passes today so our families and our city can start seeing the benefits. For my public comment, to the city council members that have held boldly and have held leadership and making sure this bill goes through, thank you very much. You seen yourself in the mirror and you have represented us, the Angelinos, the workers that run this city. And for the city council members that are still undecided passing these bills, you need to ask yourself, why did I become a city council member in first place? Thank you, have a nice day.
Good morning.
Comentario público, número 5.
Public comment at number 5.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general. Go ahead.
2 minutos adelante.
Hola, mi nombre es Lorena Barrera y trabajo de empacadora.
Yes, hello, my name is Lorena Barrera, and I work as a packager
En Fly and Food Group, una compañía que prepara y empaca comida para los vuelos.
for Flying Food Group, a company that prepares and packages food for airlines
Vuelos internacionales de Los Ángeles.
and international flights in Los Angeles.
He trabajado en Fly and Food por 7 años y gano 21.73 la hora.
I've been working in Flying Food Group for 7 years, and I make $21.73 an hour.
Les pido que hoy ayuden
We ask that today you help
a pasar el sueldo olímpico.
to approve the Olympic wage.
Ahora con lo que gano es difícil con una hija estudiante en la Universidad de Northridge.
Yes, and right now with what I make, it's very difficult, given that I have a daughter who goes to the university in Northridge.
Sí, son.
El sueldo ayudaría a económicamente a mí,
The wage increase would help me economically,
a mi familia
my family,
y la salud médica de mi familia. Gracias.
and the,
Voten sí.
and the medical health of my family. Thank you. Vote yes.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Ahí me avisa cuando pueda.
Where's the
Sobre
diamond
cuáles
piece?
temas
She
quiere
didn't
hablar,
come in
señor?
today.
Mi nombre es.
Remember the
Buenos
diamond piece?
días. Mi nombre es Jesús Monje.
The Trans-Latina
Tengo
Coalition.
64 años y soy jornalero del Centro Jornalero
diamond
de
piece.
Carecia.
Okay, so you
Yes.
have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general. Go ahead.
Un minuto para el tema y un minuto para el general. Yes, hello, my name is Jesus Monke. I am 64 years old, and I work as a day laborer for the Day Labor Center Carece.
Le pedimos que den un presupuesto para seguir siendo contratado por la ciudad de Los Ángeles
We
para
ask-
mantener las calles limpias.
We ask for you to include in your budget funds so that we may be able to maintain our streets clean.
Ganar un sueldo que nos ayuda mucho porque cada vez es más cara la vida. Y más
Making a fair wage would help us tremendously because each and every day life is getting more expensive.
y más para
When
las
you get that
personas
wage, it's going to get
de la
even more
tercera
expensive, brother.
edad como yo.
Buckle up.
And especially for people who are around my age.
Ahora es cuando necesitamos su apoyo. Restauren el presupuesto para centros jornaleros.
And that is why we need your help to be able to restore the budget for day labor centers.
Protejan a los trabajadores inmigrantes de Los Ángeles.
To help immigrant workers in Los Angeles.
Y también carecen apoya el salario olímpico. Pero gracias.
And we also at Caressa support the Olympic wage. Thank you.
Olympic wage. Everybody wants that Olympic money, and it's fucking still 3 years away.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
I'm speaking to item 5, and I am with a certified neighborhood council, and so I do have a CIS to read.
Okay, and that was a community impact statement that was adopted by the neighborhood council?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And just 1 second.
Bro's got the chops and everything, just like Honky Tonk. Just missing the Elvis suit and the guitar.
Okay, thank you. You'll have 3 minutes for the community impact statement. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. My name is Shmuel Gonzalez, and I'm the president of the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. And I have a CIS to read to you today. The Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council is in unanimous support of the Tourism Worker Rising motion introduced in April to amend the Los Angeles Living Wage Ordinance and the Los Angeles Hotel Workers Minimum Wage Ordinance requiring 25 hours now and $30 an hour by 2028. Healthcare and worker protections as a matter of economic justice, housing justice, and public safety. The tourism industry is rebounding beyond pre-epidemic levels, and infrastructure investments are assuring future growth as Los Angeles prepares to host the 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics. In 2022, the U.S. hotel industry reported average daily rates and revenues per available rooms that were the highest of any year on record, while LAX is investing $6 billion in an expansion, and LA is #1 in the nation for new hotel rooms. Let me stretch this out.
Hold on, my script is
Thousands
not,
of tourism workers and their families were among the hardest hit during the pandemic, yet many now lack quality health insurance and health benefits required and requirements in the Los Angeles Living Wage Ordinance has not yet kept up with the rising cost of family health insurance coverage, according to an April 2022 report presented by the Los Angeles City Administrator's Office in compliance with the LWO. It is unacceptable that many workers at LAX and in hotels are struggling to keep a roof over their head and support their families, all while being the backbone of a major economic engine in Los Angeles. The workers that keep LA's tourism industry functioning safe and profitable, including hotel housekeepers, LAX janitors and security guards, airplane cabin cleaners, airline cabin crew workers, airline passenger service workers, LAX restaurant and retail workers, are all primarily from BIPOC and immigrant communities. Tourism workers are disproportionately rent burdened and are facing housing insecurity as housing costs in Los Angeles rise, meaning that at the current living wage levels, LAX and hotel workers would have to work 14 hours a day to afford to rent a 2-bedroom apartment. The proposed amendment to the Living Wage Ordinance would help prevent displacement of our community members and ensure over 36,000 Angelenos have health and are healthy and are housed. And again, this was unanimously adopted by the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council as well as 15 other neighborhood councils throughout the city of Los Angeles. We believe everyone in the city who lives in the city of Los Angeles and works in the city of Los Angeles should have a living wage and should have a future for their home and for their family. Thank you.
Thanks, Squiggy.
I'd like to call additional names. Dr. Rick Tuttle, Wendy Miranda, Joshua Errazo.
Dr. Critical Truth Bay.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Artículo 5 y comentario público.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general. Go ahead.
Mi nombre es Marco.
My name is Marco.
Trabajo para una empresa de estacionamiento que emplea a 3,000 personas.
I work for a parking company that has 3,000 employees.
Más de la mitad de cuales trabajan en la industria hotelera.
3,000.
Half of which work in the hotel industry.
Prestando servicios a más de 50 hoteles.
And we provide services to more than 50 hotels.
Estoy profundamente preocupada por los aumentos que están solicitando a los hoteles y a sus contratistas.
I'm really worried about the increases that you're soliciting from hotels and their contractors.
Estos cambios incrementarían significativamente los costos en una economía ya frágil.
These increases would already up the costs in an already fragile economy.
Lo que podría reducir servicios, forzar cierres y provocar despidos.
And that could force closures, lack in services, and firings.
La ciudad actualmente enfrenta un déficit de varios millones de dólares.
The city right now is confronting a deficit of thousands of dollars.
Y ya ha implementado despidos tras aprobar aumentos salarios que no podía sostener.
And has already had to fire people after putting through wage increases that they couldn't sustain.
Entonces, ¿por qué pedirles a los hoteles y sus contratistas que sigan el mismo camino?
So why are you asking hoteliers and their contractors to go down the same path?
Arriesgando consecuencias similares para los negocios y los trabajadores.
Risking the same consequences for the workers.
Pedimos decisiones equilibradas que protejan tanto a los trabajadores como a los servicios que los hoteles ofrecen y que sostienen nuestra economía.
We are asking for sensible policy making that supports both the workers as well as the hotels that help the economy.
Gracias.
Thank you.
He sure knows what's going on. He gets it. They don't like it. Must be Herman back there clapping. But he gets it. He understands.
Which items would you like to speak to?
That man gets it.
Hello, my name is Rick Tuttle. I'm here to speak on item 5.
Hi, Rick.
The council agenda. As I understand, there's a 1-minute limitation.
Come on,
On behalf
Rick.
of clergy, and I'm a volunteer, clergy and lay united for economic justice. And as some of you know, I was Los Angeles City Controller here from 1985, 2001. It's great to be here. It's terrific to see old friends, good friends. Several of us have been through a lot together, and we're sharing this today. I have 3 points to make, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President. The first is this is a city-commissioned economic analysis that demonstrates, and we all had these economic courses, the propensity to spend will be very, very high and to spend locally. This will be a significant boost. Those are the commission's work regarding this for our local economy. Second, permit me to say this is not the first time that efforts have been made at this council. I think of Council Member Jackie Goldberg. She carried in 1997 an historic effort to raise standards. They said the sky would fall in then. It did not. The tourism industry flourished. And finally, this is an historic vote. Someday, the younger members of your family and friends will ask you what you did for working men and women. If you vote yes on this, you'll be proud of this vote today. Thank you very much and good luck.
They're going after the senior citizens now. You
my name is Joshua Eraso. I'm here for general.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Cool. Hello, council members. My name is Joshua Eraso. I'm an organizer at the Carecens Day Labor Center. Our communities are currently under attack and living in fear. Right now is the time for the city to step up, not step down for its immigrant community. I'm asking for the city to restore funding to the day labor centers and also to fund Represent LA. Day labor centers have a space where workers can find jobs and they can help with wage thefts. They're safe spaces providing critical resources that are already scarce across the city, and it's become a beacon of hope. I mean, take for example, Freddy Estrada, a member of our center who's 47 and has dialysis 3 times a week. He comes to our center for services and for work. They're also the ones cleaning up the city after the fires and the ones trained for anything that comes next. Please invest and protect our community. Without your support, our immigrant community is going to suffer. Please fund our day labor centers and Represent LA. And also, we do support the Olympic wage for the workers. Thank you.
You're fired.
All right, that concludes public comment for today's meeting. I want to thank everybody who came and shared with us.
I mean, they did give you 23
this,
extra minutes. I
morning.
can't lie. It was
Madam
43
Clerk,
minutes
we're
or
ready
so.
to proceed.
There is that.
All right. All right. It looks like we need a little bit more time in the clerks. So
The reason
if
they
there
did
are
that-
a couple more speakers on the queue,
Trust
we
me,
can use this
guys.
opportunity.
Let me explain something to you. The only reason they're doing this is because there's 5 news cameras back there. They want to make it seem like they give everybody an hour time. You know and I know we never get no goddamn hour or damn close to it. Ever.
Yes, come up and speak.
They want to make it seem like this is something that happens every day. No. In fact, we need the news to show up more often.
Again, those names are Kirsten Peterson, Maria Vasquez, Kevin Studio.
And 3-inch shrimp. Where the fuck's 3-inch? They left.
I believe I see it.
Audit left, 3-inch
couple
shrimp
coming up
left.
now.
Herman, they all left because they couldn't get in. They would not allow them into the chambers.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
General comment.
So you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
It's all a show.
I need you guys, council members, to vote yes on our minimum wage and our health care. We no longer can afford living paycheck to paycheck, and I need you guys to pay attention when we talk.
Yes, it's your right to be there. It's anybody's right to be there. Problem is what they'll do is they'll say, we've reached maximum capacity.
Good morning. Which items would you
the
like to
fire
speak to?
marshal won't allow us to have any more people.
Okay, so you have
They'll
1 minute.
close
Go
the
ahead.
chambers. And that's what they'll do.
I would like to ask the council to carve out an exemption for limited service
You
hotels.
were lucky
Can we
enough
hold
to
this
get
time
in,
really quick? Do you
you're
want to
fucked.
pull up the microphone just so we can hear you?
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to ask the council to carve out an exemption for limited service hotels with under 150 rooms. Why? Because we can't afford it. We currently pay about 45% of our income to salary, and if this passes, it'll go up to 83%. We can't afford that. Our source of income is only for guest rooms. We don't have a restaurant, bar, etc. We serve LA residents who need a place to stay while they transition to other housing. We're not a tourist hotel, and we will have to pass this increase on to our guests. Long Beach carved out exemptions for limited service hotels, and I ask you to do the same. We have tried to raise rates in the past, but our guests could not afford it. Please do the right thing and carve out an exemption for limited service hotels. Thank you.
Yeah, right. They're going to steamroll you like they do the landlords, sir. Every landlord is BlackRock, apparently.
All right, I believe that concludes public comment. Madam Clerk, are we ready to roll with our business for this morning?
Yes, Mr. President.
All right.
Here we
what
go.
items are available for us to vote on?
This vote is going to make the
Council
news.
may now vote on items 1 as well as 7 through 20, sir.
I think it's
All right,
5. Is
let's
the one
open the
that
roll
we're-
on
the big
those
vote.
items, close the
5.
roll, tabulate the vote.
So it doesn't include here.
15 ayes.
All right, what's next?
There's a separate vote for
Next
5, I think.
would be the amendments for item number 5. And
Oh, they're voting.
the first
So
amendment is item 5E as in Edward, and that is motion Padilla, McCosker, Yaroslavsky.
All right, Councilmember Padilla, would you like to give any comments on your amendment, or do you want to just go for a vote?
I'll just chill.
Okay.
I don't wanna go
all right,
first.
so I want to call the roll on agenda on Amendment E5E by Councilmember
This is my
Padilla,
city,
which
man. This is my city.
makes ruling
246
makes changes in terms of the
capacity?
public housekeeping
I mean, it looks
certificate
bad. I know
and
it is,
training.
Richard. I'm
Let's
not
open the
disputing
roll on 5E. Councilmember
Just
Padilla.
sucks that they can't get in. I'm sour
Members, I'm
grapes.
sure a lot of you remember that I was very passionate about what exactly this was going to look like. What exactly does it mean? So what I'm trying to do here is I recognize that the council thinks this is a good thing. that we should have a hotel training program, and that it should be, monitored and implemented out of the Office of Contract Administration. This here is what I believe is more of a compromise of making sure that what it doesn't turn into is a situation where workers go for this training, they take an examination, fail, and then have to keep coming back and coming back and coming back. What this would do is make sure that upon arrival, they are taking an exam that will allow them to retake it and retake it so that in the first time that they arrive, they will be able to leave with a certificate that they can keep for 5 years, as opposed to a situation where if they don't pass, the employer has to once again send them over until they complete it. So I hope that you can support my amendment in order to reduce workers having to keep going to a location more than once.
Got it. So lower the bar.
Thank you, Councilmember Padilla.
Constantly
Councilmember
lowering the
Nazarian, you're
bar
not
and
speaking. All right, let's open the roll on item 5E. Close the roll.
This is for the
Tabulate the vote.
amendment to 5, not 5.
15 ayes.
All right, that takes us to Amendment 5D as in dance.
Is it Dave?
Seeing no
What?
comments on that item, let's open the roll on 5D as in dance. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
Twelve ayes, 3 noes.
All right. That takes us to Amendment 5C as in cat by Councilmember Lee. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Thank you, colleagues. And so I'd like actually an opportunity to bring up, I know we have folks from
Shut
LA
up,
Tourism
Meg.
here, so I wanted to take an opportunity to invite them up to the table.
Shut up, Meg.
Ah, the tourism board. Don't you love it, everybody? Monaco.
Good morning. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Thank you. I'm Adam Burke, and I have the privilege of serving as the president and CEO of Los Angeles Tourism and Convention Board. As I'm sure you know, for over 40 years, we have been the official. Better?
Yes.
For more than 40 years, we have served as the city's official nonprofit tourism promotion organization. And we have the
Nonprofit.
privilege of representing
Another
over
organization.
1,000 local businesses
Fuck
and
these
510,000 Angelinos
They're
who depend on
assholes.
tourism for
We
their
know he'd like
livelihoods. And with your kind permission, council member, I'd like to begin with an overview of the current state of the industry.
That would be terrific. Thank you.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity to share an update on where we're at in the tourism sector, both nationally and more specifically here in Los Angeles. As you know, our industry remains one of the largest drivers of our local economy. As I mentioned, over 510,000 Angelinos earn their living in travel and tourism. Last year alone, our local business community received over $40 billion in local business sales, and the city's general fund received nearly $300 million from the transient occupancy tax. Unfortunately, we are now facing multiple headwinds, I'm sure you're aware of a number of them, that have already resulted in declining visitation, and there's a deeply concerning trend for the balance of the year. To be clear, we are your contractor, and we continue to execute best-in-class sales and marketing programs to be agile and respond to changing market dynamics, but a number of these factors really are beyond our control. The first thing is, despite the time that has elapsed since January's devastating wildfires, we are fighting significant misperceptions, both domestically and internationally, about the extent of the damage. Now, certainly this is in no way means to diminish how tragic this was for the Palisades, Altadena, parts of Malibu. But research conducted by Visit California found that the average American traveler believes that 41% of Los Angeles was damaged by the fires. 41%. As you all know, the real number is less than 2%, but that has had a suppressive impact on the likelihood of visitors to come to Los Angeles. That's further exacerbated post-pandemic recovery, which, as you've heard previously, lags our competitive set due to a combination of factors, including long visa wait times, high refusal rates internationally, lack of direct air service coming back to pre-pandemic levels, and honestly, the strength of the US dollar. And as an international gateway, that's had a significant impact. That trend's evident when you look at 2024
Blame the
hotel
tariffs. I want to
occupancy
hear it.
relative to pre-pandemic levels, with Los Angeles still trailing 2019 by 8.4% in occupancy, and only San Francisco showing slower recovery relative to 2019. Of even greater concern, and I know this has been discussed in this chamber, in response to policy decisions and rhetoric from the Trump administration, the 2025 outlook is not encouraging. Recent surveys have shown that an overwhelming majority of visitors from our key international markets now have an unfavorable view of the United States as a travel destination. And in response, unfortunately, to increased questioning, searches, detentions, and even deportations of international visitors to the U.S., multiple countries have now issued formal travel advisories against travel to the United States, including Canada, France, Germany, Ireland, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. I will tell you that while visa wait times had improved dramatically over the last several years, significant reductions in State Department personnel are now reversing that trend. And from some of our key markets, we are seeing wait times as high as 400 days in India, 285 days in Mexico, 225 days in Dubai, and 180 days in Brazil. And I think we all are concerned by that as we prepare to host events like the World Cup and the Olympic Games. Those factors are already showing up in real time in year-over-year data, with the number of international passengers at the 10 busiest U.S. airports down by 18.4% year-to-date. International travel spending in Los Angeles year-to-date through March has also shown significant year-over-year declines.
That was under the last administration.
We've seen a reduction of 25% from Canada, 21% from South Korea, 16% from India, 15% from the United Kingdom, 9% down from Mexico, and 8% down from Australia, all of which have historically been in our top feeder markets internationally. Of particular note, given the discussions in this chamber about general fund contributions, this has already yielded an aggregate year-to-date loss of 19% in hotel and lodging spend, as well as reductions of 19% in transportation, 18% in entertainment, and 10% in restaurants and dining. Unfortunately, this is not just an international issue. We are also beginning to see similar trends in domestic travel as tariffs increase consumer prices. This includes direct travel-related costs like airfare, car rentals, food and accommodations. And in addition, we've seen this pattern repeatedly over the years. A higher cost of consumer goods overall results in Americans foregoing air travel in favor of drive trips, outdoor recreation, or simply not traveling. Credit card spending data is the best barometer for this. And based on credit card data, we already see a concerning downturn in travel to LA from a number of our key domestic feeder markets. Through March alone, year-over-year spending has declined by 17% from Washington, D.C., 14% from Miami, 12% from Boston, 11% from Las Vegas, 6% from San Francisco, and 5% from New York. That translates into an aggregate decline of 13% in hotel and lodging spend, as well as a 14% reduction in transportation and 8.5% in entertainment. I believe it will clearly take a coordinated and concerted effort between our industry, the LA business and entertainment community, and our elected leadership to combat the brand tarnish that is negatively impacting travel to the U.S. I also believe, though, it is one of the world's most diverse and inclusive destinations. I remain confident that we will, as always, come together and rise above the noise, something that will be critical to the future of all Angelenos. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the very sobering numbers.
Oh, the sobering numbers.
It's not an anomaly. It's not something that Los Angeles alone is experiencing. This is something that is happening nationally, as you indicated, just from the sheer rhetoric. I even heard Vice President Vance make a quip about deporting everybody that comes for the Olympics. So what
I'm not problem with
kind of is looming ahead of us is a sabotage that is undermining the very industry that we're all hoping to boost and continue to provide increased support for salaries. That can only happen if there's actually people showing up and occupying those hotel rooms and touring or coming through LAX. So can you talk to me about, we've got a number of neighboring cities that offer airport service, that offer hotel service. Can you talk to me about within LA County in our region where we stand in terms of comparatively with pricing and some of the tourism climate?
Certainly. So I'll look at it both nationally for our competitive set, because you're quite right, Council Member. This week, New York City tourism downgraded their forecast by 3 million visitors. And we've seen that happen in Washington, D.C., and Chicago. This is very much a national trend. In addition to your point about international visitation, you may recall that under the first Trump administration, there was a ban on travel from 7 predominantly Muslim nations. It's not that those markets were huge drivers, but it had a huge impact in chilling international visitation. The New York Times recently reported that the administration is contemplating a 43-country travel ban. So
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
That it is a 43-country travel ban that was proposed. It has not been enacted as yet.
Shut up, Meg.
But that is, if you think about it, roughly 6 times the previous travel ban.
Right.
When you look at our local competitive set, it really is a function of looking at the total operating costs. What we are seeing is people are opting to go to other parts of the county where hotel room rates are lower, where they have other less expensive options.
So they're still coming.
And I will say one of the things we see consistently in consumer sentiment is that the city of Los Angeles is perceived as a very expensive destination relative to some of our local counterparts in Southern California.
So in terms of, our competitive wages, do you have any insight as to where we are with those neighboring cities comparatively?
Yeah, I think you can look at the same ordinance that are being contemplated right now by council. We've seen that happen in West Hollywood, in Santa Monica, but there are neighboring parts of LA County that have not passed similar ordinances. Probably the best reference point. I should say my goal is always, as your contractor, to give you fact-based information rather than opinion. The best barometer for this is a study that was conducted by Oxford Economics. And let me speak for a second about who they are. Oxford Economics is widely recognized as one of the most reputable economic analysis and forecasting consultancies in the world. It was actually started over 40 years ago
Willie.
in partnership with Oxford University School of Business. And the U.S. Department of Commerce regularly refers to Oxford Economics as their primary data source looking at the travel and tourism industry. They've already conducted an analysis of the wage ordinance that's being proposed. And what their analysis showed is that a $30 an hour wage would result on an annual basis in a loss of $2.3 billion in local business sales,
How come?
$55 million in local tax revenues, and most unfortunately, the loss of almost 15,000 jobs.
Well, not in clean hotels,
Thank you.
JDM. Although 2 hotels did get in trouble
colleagues,
for
I
bed
think
bugs. Luxor
We're all
and
eager
something
and
else got
interested
in
in
trouble
making
this
sure that we
week
support.
for it.
Thank you so much.
Someone's
I'm
suing
not
them.
sure if other colleagues will have questions of you.
It was Luxor and somebody
But I
else.
think what you're presenting are very
Treasure
sobering
Island.
and real numbers.
Treasure
and this is even before an entertainment
news,
of
I saw it.
increasing the obligation, the overhead costs for these facilities, whether it's a hotel or airport concessions, before we've even adopted a policy that increases their wages. And we've already seen
You want that cheap room?
some very sobering numbers about the number of layoffs that have occurred just as a result. And it's, again, we're not alone.
It's all blaming Trump.
Las Vegas, layoffs. Anaheim, layoffs. It's happening
Not because of
everywhere
Biden's
around the
economy.
country, born
But
born
because of 3
out
months
an
of Trump.
economy that is fragile beyond means, from tariffs to the rhetoric that's coming out at the federal level, let alone people's, again, living expenses for everybody.
Shut
is
up,
limiting
Meg.
people's discretionary ability to go on vacation
You're fired.
because everyone is just trying to make it. Just as the workers are trying to make it, every other family that would originally go on a holiday
Last 4 years, you
is
was making
opting
it.
to just stay home because they just can't afford it. And so what happens as a result of that, folks, and again, this goes back to, and by the way, the city of Los Angeles is living in this situation right now.
Yeah, thanks to you, asshole Democrats.
Agreeing to and committing ourselves because we want to pay workers more, we are right now facing 1,600 imminent layoffs.
You sure are.
Because
of
the
your
revenue
dealings.
is just not matching our expenditures.
Because the way you do
The
business.
same will happen in the private sector.
Because you're a fucking
in
moron,
fact, as
Monaco.
we are living in this moment right now,
And why aren't you rolling
many
your
city
R's?
employees are currently concerned about what their future holds. And what we're trying to avoid for all of these workers is a responsible conversation, is what we're trying to ensure is that we have a responsible conversation for workers to be able to get paid the most they can make without bankrupting or breaking a system that will not keep them employed. Because the difference between a government entity and private sector is that
Never, Dark Corner.
we
Ever.
know there's a certain amount of
Never
taxes
look in
that
the
we're
mirror.
going to get inherently. Unfortunately, TOT is part of what we rely on in order to make
It's
that work,
always
in
somebody
order to
else's
make this
fault.
government work.
Always.
The problem is, if we don't have operating hotels and people that are employed, that also affects our bottom line. And by the way, there's no guarantees of what kind of income is going to come to these hotels or through LAX, particularly when people have other options. It was just a few weeks ago that Ms. Padilla and I were in Baja. CBX now has multiple direct flights to Beijing.
Yeah,
coming
of
into
course,
Tijuana.
because you're commies.
Shut up, Meg.
And that's only a 2.5 hour drive.
To Beijing? Sounds about
And
right.
it's far more palatable for people to find other alternatives that are going to be more cost effective than the environment that we manufacture here. And we're just trying to strike a balance, an important balance that ensures that people can make a respectable and honorable wage without breaking the system.
Honorable?
Because we need to keep as many people as employed as possible. Because we can't even do it here right now in the city of Los Angeles as we are contemplating 1,600 layoffs. And that's a reality.
And if I may, council member, I think you're exactly right. I think this has been presented as an all or none proposition. I will say, I don't think there's any dispute that as an industry, we want to see all of our frontline workers continue to get thoughtful, measured increase in living wage. And, to everyone in the gallery, where I will say we recognize that those who are on the front line of the hospitality industry are the heartbeat of our industry. The issue is simply there is a natural tipping point at which the speed and amount of wage increases actually begins to result in job losses. And that's a simple economic calculation that can be easily obtained.
Shut up, Meg.
Very simple math, guys. If we increase what it costs to keep people employed and we don't have the level of tourism to support it, people will get laid off. And that's already happened just on the natural from the already lack of tourism that the city is experiencing right now. And so what we're talking about is accelerating that. And that's what's happening. So I don't know how many other examples. We are living in a real example here in the city of Los Angeles right now, where we've got a well-paid, and in some future moments, that's going to happen in this budget deliberation, the next unemployed part of our workforce.
True, Richard.
And that's horrifying.
We ain't lying.
Because it's a downward spiral of what happens to our local economy when we have less people employed. We need to keep people employed. We need to make sure that we help to sustain a healthy local economy.
Maybe you shouldn't have shut down their entire economy for a shamdemic.
But if they can't function
just a few years ago, longest in the nation, the lockdown was.
We've seen layoffs at LAX.
Maybe you shouldn't
have
done that.
I'm not looking at accelerating.
Here's your
that.
ripple effect.
I'm looking at making sure that we can have the best of all worlds in a balanced approach. And that's what I think we are at a juncture in today. Because even before this has been adopted, we have already seen the impacts of what's happening in our local economy. So colleagues, I know we have, Mr. Lee and I have presented an amendment on
big pot of money.
15C.
That's why. They love money. They're greedy.
And it's
greedy,
helping
begging
to, I
pigs.
believe, distill a very balanced approach.
Although she's a cow.
a very responsible approach
Per
to
Mr.
ensure that we
Spindler.
can have the best of all worlds, to ensure that we can
I didn't give her the
pay the
nickname.
workers a competitive and healthy living wage, but also making sure we do not cause more harm
Never,
to an
Dad.
industry that is
Never.
already frail. And so for that, colleagues, I'm asking for your support on 15C.
Zero accountability.
And I do have an amendment.
It's always somebody else's
Actually,
fault.
are we on 15D right now? Or
We're on 5.
Some other
or
bullshit.
5D, excuse me.
We're on 5C as in cat, which is
Sure,
your and
which is
Mr.
mine.
Lee.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure. So I wanted to amend the language for C in 5C, which is to strike the 4 weeks in the language for on bullet C. And I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, they shut down businesses for 4 years here.
Thank you, Mr. President. So,
Didn't let
Mr.
anybody
Burke,
work.
when I ask these
Closing
questions,
everybody down
although I know we're on
for
5C,
the most part.
on the
A good
overall
solid
ordinance.
2 of that 4 years.
So earlier it was said by one of the
What they
speakers.
think was going to happen?
We've done this before. We've screamed the sky is falling, and yet we're still here. Tell me, where do we rank? I want you to repeat again. Where do we rank in recovery of major cities from recovery from COVID? Where do we rank?
Yeah, right now, Los Angeles, among major
You better
urban
get in
destinations,
power, Richard.
is second to
Voted for
last
you
in
last
recovery
time.
to 2019. San Francisco is
No, it's not
significantly
true.
worse,
I
but we're
voted for
second to
what's her
last in
name
the
last
nation.
time, Stacy.
Okay.
We'll vote
Where
for
do
you
we
this
rank
time.
in where do we rank in conventions?
Conventions, we are currently 21st in the
Anybody
nation,
wants
and that's
to stick
largely
with
due to the limited size
someone
of our
to be a
center.
thorn in their
21st,
side,
and so
it's
what other
me.
cities sort of are around
I'm
that?
going to help you get there, Richard.
I'm sorry?
What other cities are kind of around where we are?
So
you better
we
be
are
the thorn in
competing
their
with
side
Fresno,
to get there.
Kansas City,
None of this
Reno.
knee-bending shit.
So Fresno and Reno are about the same of what we're getting in conventions.
Correct.
Okay. How many currently, do you know how many hotels are currently up for sale in the city of Los Angeles? Do you have
That I
figure?
don't know.
Okay. Do you know if there are any proposed hotels in the city
There
of Los
are. I
Angeles?
can actually, we regularly keep track of a hotel pipeline report. And one of the issues right now is there are a number of properties that are waiting to see the disposition of not only the hospitality worker minimum wage ordinance, but also the expansion of the convention center to determine whether or not to proceed. I can tell you, looking at the hotel pipeline report, bear with me one moment,
Bear with me one
that there are
moment.
currently 12 hotels who are in the final planning phase for a total of 2,876 rooms. That includes the proposed 861-room Marriott Tower that is fully contingent on the expansion of the convention center. In addition to that, there are 25 proposed hotels with a total of over 4,000 rooms. So right now, there are roughly 7,000 rooms that are waiting to see the results of council's decisions.
And we need those rooms for the upcoming major events that the city is about to host. Are any of those in danger if this passes? Would you say? Have they expressed that if this goes as is today, that they would not decide not to build here in the city of Los Angeles?
Yeah, I think to explain that, let me use the Olympics as an example, because I don't think there's necessarily clearly around how those room blocks are established. So for the 2028 Olympic Games, hotels already had to sign a formal agreement, and that is based on the average of their rates for the 3-year period, 23, 24, and 25. Those rates are already set, and the IOC actually validates those rates to make sure that they're accurate. The only increase that the hotel community is permitted in the 3 years running up to the games is they take the consumer price index for urban destinations and apply that for each year. If you look back 10 years, the average increase in the consumer price index for urban destinations went up by 1.8% per year. So even if you assume, rounding it up to 2, that in 3 years the hotels would be able to increase their rates by 6%, the minimum wage being contemplated would increase wages by roughly 60%. And I think it's important to note that roughly 50% of a hotel's operating cost comes from labor.
And I want you to repeat again from the
True, Steve.
from the question that Councilman Rodriguez asked. How much do we stand to lose as a area or city or region if this were to pass? What did the study say?
Smoke. Looking at the Oxford Economics, it looks at an annual run rate. It would be $2.3 billion in local business sales, and I think it's important to note that includes hundreds of small businesses across the region. We'd also lose $55 million in local tax revenues, and the projected job losses are nearly 15,000 per year.
Possibly 15,000 job losses.
Correct.
Okay.
Here comes the shit. Here comes the fear mongering. It's all Trump's fault. Here comes the fear mongering. You better.
So would you say?
We better vote this in. Remember, the news is there, guys. This is all a real big show today.
Tourism here in the city of Los Angeles. This will have a negative impact to the economy of the city of Los Angeles.
The answer is yes. We've seen that happen because there are only so many levers available for hotels to address something like this. I think the first thing is just taking a step back from the hospitality industry. I don't know of an industry in any sector that can absorb a 60% increase in cost of labor without having a significant downstream impact on consumers. In the hotel industry, option one is to increase rates, and we are already viewed as a very expensive destination, so if we do increase room rates to try and compensate for the increased cost of labor, that will result in additional downturn of visitation. The second option is for hotels to reduce the service levels on property, and that's highly problematic because, again, it makes us less competitive as a Tier 1 destination. For the limited service hotels, that's not even an option. We have so many limited service hotels who their margins are already razor thin. They don't have the option of further reducing services. And what we are very likely to see is closure of food and beverage outlets because of the cost. And in an extreme case, I think there is the good likelihood we may see additional hotel closures.
And you say, just so everyone has limited service hotels, the smaller hotels that are don't have as many rooms, they don't offer valet service, they don't offer food service, conventions or meeting rooms. Just okay. All right, colleagues. I know we're on 5C. This is just a tool to try to help the industry, the hotel and airport workers, to try to differentiate between what exactly qualifies as a hotel worker. I obviously have They didn't even let him on some of the other amendments and of the overall thing that I will speak to later, but I'm urging an aye vote. This is just one small step in possibly helping these two industries that we've heard right here that will be negatively affected. Thank you, Mr. Burke.
Yeah, not one regular
Mr. Blumenfield.
Too many people in the room. Look at how packed it is.
Well,
the
just
news
looking at
is
5C,
there, so nobody was able to get in.
I don't really understand it. So I wonder if we can either elucidate it more or send it back to committee to be understood. But if we are, the way I'm reading it, what it's saying to do is differentiate variable workers, which I thought were meant to be restaurant workers, but what does that actually mean? So if you carve out a restaurant worker from the ordinance or from being a hotel worker, doesn't that make them drop back down to the minimum wage of the city? And so would they actually be losing money? Because the current hotel minimum wage is here, the new wage would be here, but if they're carved out of hotel, then they drop back down to here. And I don't think that that's your intention, but that does appear, the way I read the plain letter words here, is what the impact is.
Awfully
Similarly,
gray.
I don't understand what this does vis-a-vis the healthcare requirements. Because is this, by carving them out, then there's no longer a healthcare requirement for these workers? I'm confused by the changes in definition on the essential workers. You know, obviously seeing this for the first time, I feel like there is something here. There is an idea here. We have this. There is a real issue of restaurants in hotels having a unfair burden compared to the restaurants next door, and we're losing restaurants. So, I mean, I'd like to see something like this sent back to committee and vetted a little bit. But I guess the way it's written here, there's too many variables in my mind to be able to support something like this without understanding it better.
We can help you understand it. If we want to ask Henry if you want to come up and explain from the CLA.
Look at his face when she said that. We'll help you understand.
Thank you, council members.
Oh, Monaco, everybody.
So the idea behind 5C, C would be to align the definition of hotel worker with that of Oakland, so that
he was getting interviewed by the news, by the way.
The idea behind
on Audit
5C
LA,
C would be to align the definition that we have currently, which is a location-based definition, to that with Oakland, which additionally requires that workers work 5 hours a week at one or more hotels for 4 weeks. So as of right now, if you are a hotel employer and you hire a marble polisher for 2 hours or 3 hours, you need to pay the hotel worker minimum wage. Under this definition, if this were to be adopted, it allows a little more flexibility for employers to hire those workers on a temporary basis who are working below a certain number of hours.
Well, it says employees receiving variable compensations. Does not include employers receiving variable compensation. What does that mean?
I'm sorry, I did not write this. I need to look at this more carefully. The city attorney, can you?
I assume that means tips?
Yes.
I don't know.
Ideally tips, yes.
And then what does it mean? So if,
Thank you, Daniel.
if
There
they're
you go.
excluded, then what is their
what he's-
wage
that's
then?
what they're talking
Their wage
about.
goes back to the citywide wage or the
Yeah,
previous hotel wage?
Correct. They would revert to the minimum wage, which is $17.28 an hour.
So their wage, if we were to do this, a restaurant worker's wage would actually drop.
Correct.
It wouldn't, it's not just not increasing it, but it would drop. And I don't think that that's the intention of what you're trying to write, but that is the impact.
Correct.
By $3.14.
I can't hear you.
By $3.14. Danya Minassian, Deputy City Attorney.
Okay. That, again, is, I think, a difference between your intention
I bet, Richard.
and
I
what this says.
It looks like he's really getting gray.
So
though.
I think just fundamentally,
Normally he had, maybe he was using just for min kit.
I can't support it the way it's written. If you want to send it back to committee and work on it, there may be something there. But that's just where I'm at.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenfield.
no
Councilmember
up
Soto
front,
Martinez.
Off top.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for your questions, Councilmember Blumenfield. This amendment would be catastrophic for what we are trying to do here in the city of LA. Because what
They
we're
don't
really
like
talking about
Meg's
is
amendment.
who gets the living wage and the enforcement of the living wage. And so I just want to direct folks to the language that it says. It says employed directly by a hotel employer. That means that we will create a massive loophole for folks to continue to pay the bare minimum in the city of LA. So all an employer would have to do is subcontract a space or create an LLC or another entity, and therefore they're no longer employed by the employer. And that means those folks are not going to get a wage increase. They're also not going to get any health care. The language about contracted with the hotel employer, same thing. And so I think that Mr. Blumenfield hit the nail on the head. This is not what it seems. This is actually about telling the workers of the city of LA, hey, you don't deserve to make a living wage. You don't deserve to have health insurance. I cannot support this because the reason the ordinance was written in that way is because when we talk about who deserves a living wage and the enforcement, it's anybody within the boundaries of that workplace, within the hotel. That's the way it's written. The reason it's written that way is because if there are issues regarding the enforcement of that wage, BCA can easily enforce that because they know the person works inside the boundaries of that property. And so I ask folks, I think Mr. Blumenfield, again, hit the nail on the head. I think this would be a terrible amendment. And so I'm asking folks to please vote no.
Councilmember Rodriguez to close on this item.
Thank you. So I just wanted to correct for the record with the clerk that I was requesting that we strike the 4 weeks in 5CC.
Shut up, Meg.
So just to clarify, then the strikeout will, the sentence including the strikeout will read hotel worker, in quotes, does not include a managerial, supervisory, confidential employee, employees receiving variable compensation, or individuals
boy,
hired
Miss
to
A?
work less than an average of 5 hours a week, so at one or more hotels. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And is there a
True, Wes. I'm
second
gonna have to do it. I'm
to
gonna be like
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Snake Plissken trying to get out of this joint.
Councilmember Park. Okay. And with that,
Cuervo Lopez
All right.
is gonna catch me and make me do all
I
kinds
can
of
continue. Thank you. So again, colleagues, I'd also like to request
Cuervo Jones.
to bifurcate C and D in a vote.
We ain't bifurcate
on
nobody.
On this 5C amendment, if we can bifurcate to have 2 votes on this. And Mr. Lee, if you're good with that. And so again, colleagues, what we're working on here is trying to strike a balance to ensure that we can have as many people gainfully employed and making the best wage possible. But we can't do
She's a
that
plant.
if we create an environment that dissuades the continued impacts of our tourism industry to continue to erode right before our eyes. It's already happening. And so our goal is to make sure that we can create a balanced approach with how we do our work so that we can ensure that we have as many people remaining employed in a hospitable environment to come to Los Angeles, to invest in Los Angeles, because as it stands, we're currently watching the closures happening with regularity, and this is, I believe, a more balanced and responsible way for us to help achieve that. Because we want to ensure, we are in an environment right now in the city of Los Angeles where we can't even be a safety net to ourselves. And so we need to create a more hospitable environment for tourism to sustain this industry, which
why
we
is it that way?
desperately rely on, that we are watching across the country being impacted and with threats for more. I've already told you all the countries that are expanding in the proposed ban. Those are real impacts with real numbers that will affect your
Shut up,
employment.
Meg.
Because many of your colleagues have already been released from employment. And that's a reality.
That's a reality.
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
Folks,
I listen
folks,
to you speak.
folks,
Now you listen to me.
Yeah, we had an hour of public
nobody,
comment.
bitch.
People didn't
Quit
interrupt
your
you when you
lying.
spoke, so you're going to hear out the members and let us
You
conduct
over
our
here
business.
lying. You just listening to nobody.
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
Shut up, Meg.
So this is a moment where we need to ensure that we have as many people employed and business actually sustained in Los Angeles. Because right now, we are seeing the very real implications of what the impacts are. And that is even before adopting this ordinance and this change. And so colleagues, so again,
Shut up, Meg.
okay, we're gonna
Folks, if
get
we
a handle
can't
on this.
conduct our business in here, we will absolutely clear the room.
Yep.
Bet you will. Commie motherfucker.
So colleagues, I ask that in the bifurcation,
Queef.
I ask for your support on C and D, C as amended. But again, asking that we please work collaboratively on establishing a reasonable path forward that ensures that we can pay people the living wages that we want to pay them without breaking the system. So I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Yaroslavsky.
Thank you. I have a quick question for the city attorney along the lines of what Councilmember Blumenfield was asking about, because I share that concern about people getting a wage cut in this. Is there any way to draft a
somebody help her do
definition of
makeup?
hotel worker to
Girl,
avoid
you're
what
like
Councilmember
58 years
Blumenfield
old.
described,
You ain't
which
figured
seems
out
like
how
a
to use
real
makeup
concern?
yet?
Is there a way to keep them where they are?
Bro.
Or because they're getting tips. I don't want folks to lose their jobs. Is there a way to keep them where they are without going down to the city minimum wage?
You can keep the ordinances in place as a status quo and have another ordinance.
Can you bring the mic a little closer?
Yeah. You can
Holy
have
smokes.
the current ordinances remain in place as status quo. You would have to do a whole nother ordinance that would apply with these parameters and these definitions.
A
So there
whole
would
new
be different
ordinance
wage rates.
that would apply to variable wage workers.
Well, I would need to legally research the issue of variable compensation and what that exactly means, because in California, the labor code prevents tips to be used as a credit towards a minimum wage. So there are things that need to be legally evaluated and discussed before this can move forward. And so if this passes, it would need to go to committee, and we can work on a way to accomplish that if that's what the council
Adam's
wants.
apple.
So if C
Oh, you mean this
passed,
one?
it would go to committee
She
to
just looks
figure
like a
out a
guy.
bunch of questions that are being raised.
She's a woman.
I would hope that it would go to committee, because the way it's worded is to ask to change the definition. It would need to be rephrased, but yes, you can change it to make it go back to committee so that this can be discussed as an option.
Councilmember Yaroslavsky, the chair is happy to send this item to committee.
Stop it all.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said I am happy to send this item to committee if the authors are fine with that.
Because my concern is restaurant workers at hotels in my district who, faced with a significant increase in wages, could lose their jobs entirely. And I don't think anyone wants to see that happen. At the same time, I'm not comfortable with it if it would result in wage decreases for folks. So
yeah,
I would like to see it go to committee for further discussion to see whether there's a way to make sure we're preserving jobs and making sure we're being nuanced about this.
Yeah, so currently, the restaurant
Send
workers
Damon
that
to
work in a
committee.
hotel are covered under the hotel minimum wage. If this were to pass the way it's written, it would decrease their wage to what is minimum wage.
Who's got
So they
gum?
would go
She has
currently
gum?
from $20.32 to $17.28. And they would not get the health benefit that's being contemplated here. So
Who's chewing gum? I
these
don't
are
see
things that
nobody.
need to be hashed out. If you want me to come back with some alternative form, we can make that
Oh,
work, but
sure.
it's not something that, with this language, could be effectuated the way you're speaking.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Yaroslavsky. Councilmember
Chewing
Costa.
gum online, huh?
Got it.
Bring
Councilmember
some for the rest
Soto
of us?
Martinez. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Shoot him.
Thank you. So colleagues, then if this is an amendment that is palatable with some refinement,
This is where my
I'd like
teammates
to
at. This
ensure
is where
that
my
we have an
teammate.
opportunity
Hey, where
to
the white
entertain
women
this before this ordinance is fully adopted,
Let's
so
face
that
the
we can
Cleavon Little.
ensure a balanced approach. And so if that's something that's amenable, because the goal isn't to drop it below what they're actually earning right now.
She's chewing gum?
The goal is to actually create an environment that allows them to
Meg?
remain financially sustainable in their current employment. And that's what we're proposing here. And so if that's an amenable consideration to hold this part of the ordinance pending further refinement of the language so that we can get it there, that would be a responsible way for us
Heidi
to
likes that
help
white booty.
get this accomplished.
And
All right.
if I may, I just need to point out that with D, we would need clarification as well, because it kind of does the same thing. It's narrowing the workforce. So anyone getting the living wage at the airport that doesn't fall within this category would not get that wage and
The
would
blonde
revert
lady.
to minimum wage.
okay.
So we would need the same kind of analysis on both.
All right, so,
Oh, she is chewing gum. You're
Madam
right. I
Clerk,
saw it now.
City
You're right.
Attorney, can we, without objection, send this item to committee?
Yes, Mr. President. So is that the council's wish? Then 5C, again, that is amending motion Lee Rodriguez Park, is referred to 5C.
It's in the
yes.
motion, it's in the amendment, the committee.
You got the news watchers.
Yes,
they have
so
to pretend like they know what
5C
they're
is
doing.
referred to committee. Correct,
All right.
sir.
All right, thank you. That takes us to 5B. Item 5B.
Anyone?
I put forward this
Anyone?
substitute motion that has been amended now by item 5D as in dance. And we put forward this motion in light of the new information that we have between September and now. Folks know last year we took a vote. It was a very spirited discussion. There was a good amount of disagreement. But in the end, the council came together and put forward a motion. Since that time, we've had an unprecedented wildfire. We've had a president essentially campaign against tourism to the entire United States, but this part of the world in particular, as well as a trade war that has caused all kinds of havoc in our community. And so
in your community.
The goal of this substitute motion is to keep workers whole. We don't want to do anything that makes people make less than they made before we did this action. We don't want to use a wage motion to lower people's wages. We want to make sure people get some raise, a modest raise, which if folks will remember in September, we lowered the amount of wage that would happen in the first year. We lowered that from $5 an hour to $2 and a little bit less than 50 cents an hour. And what this does is delays the increase in the healthcare benefit going to workers. So workers who are getting healthcare now will continue to get what they're getting. The benefit will not increase for hotels, and for airports, it will increase in a more modest way than we originally proposed. And so that is what is before us on the council. I don't see any speakers on the queue, so I want to open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
All right. And then we have 5A. Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Come
so,
on,
colleagues,
love.
what I have before you in Amendment 5A, I think it was a couple months ago we brought in the I'm sorry, it's the smaller hotels. The smaller hotels before you to talk about their businesses. And a lot of people around this horseshoe acknowledged that limited service hotels don't have banquets, don't have valets, don't have all the other services. They provide an affordable room to that family that's coming to Los Angeles that, wants an affordable trip. They provide that ability to have those affordable rooms.
Happy birthday again,
Currently, the
Tim.
ordinance says 60 rooms. What my amendment says is that we move limited service hotels up to 150. What we are going to see if we keep it at the 60 numbers is a lot of these limited service hotels close. And if they close, it removes that option for those families who are on a budget to come to Los Angeles, spend their money, to be able to visit the many, many attractions that we have here. So colleagues, this is just to make sure that we keep this important part of our economy, important part of the ecosystem of the city of Los Angeles.
You idiots already fucked off the movie industry.
The affordable service that they provide.
You'll fuck off the tourist industry,
it was said
too.
earlier,
You Democrats are as dumb as they come.
Because they don't receive any funds from any other place. So I'm asking colleagues, please, we have these people here who they have family members, they have friends, they have anything to do to survive, to be able to provide these affordable prices to visitors Los Angeles. So I'm asking if we can please exempt them and move that up from 60 to 150 beds.
Thank you,
rooms.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Soto Martinez.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
He wants them to carve out the little mom and pops.
I am in disagreement with this amendment, very similar to the other one that was entertained. The current law right now is 60 rooms or more. Changing this law would have the same effect on a much larger level. And I simply don't buy that the 150 rooms or less is the way to try to figure out the limited service hotels. The Bel Air Hotel is less than 150 rooms. That is not a limited service hotel. The 60 room threshold or more has been debated over the last 2 iterations of this law. Changing this part of the law, I just think makes no sense. So I'm asking people to vote no, because I don't believe that people who right now are making the hotel worker minimum wage should get a pay decrease. Like as Council President said, we're not here to do pay cuts. We're trying to improve people's lives. So I ask folks to please vote no on 5A.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers on the queue, let's open the roll on 5A. Let's close the roll, tabulate the vote.
5 ayes, 10 noes.
This motion fails.
All right,
Oh, it
and I
didn't
think we
pass,
have,
right?
Madam Clerk, do we do 5F as in Frank or 5G as in Green first?
How many fucking amendments are there to this fucking thing, dude?
It should be, the last motion that was introduced would be voted first, so
Sorry.
it would be 5G as in George.
Bed bugs,
All
voting
right.
on bed bugs.
5G, Mr. Nazarian?
Thank you, colleagues. This is a motion that I had been working on since last December.
I bet.
It's something
I
that
bet, Bill.
I got quite a bit of support from everyone here at that time, and it was placed in the substitute motion. But as it came back, I realized that unfortunately a lot of times city staff are slow at sometimes bringing information back that is critical to make decisions on. So an item that was supposed to be reported back on in 45 days came back after the ordinance was drafted, which is more than 3 months, 3.5 months later. So I wanted to bring this issue up again because I think it's extremely important that we demonstrate our clean hands in this process. When we ask businesses to make a payment, that's the front end. We got to make sure that at the back end, we're protecting where that money is going and how it's being dispensed. It's a very straightforward motion to make sure that employees ultimately are taken care of. If they opt out, they're guaranteed a cash in lieu and sets the parameters of making sure that they get the health care they need, as well as making sure that if they opt out, the opt-out rates, by the way, folks, are not very high. You look at the state and city opt-out rates, it's around 10, 11%. It's not that high, but it makes it a clean process. So I would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Councilmember Blumenfield. Thank you, Mr. Nazarian.
Hopefully, Miss A.
I just want to make absolutely certain of something, which is the only way that someone can opt out is if they have health insurance. Because the last thing we want to do is create an incentive, and I think that it does this, but I'm asking the city attorney because I want to, for God and country, everyone to hear that. Because the last thing you want to do is have a situation where there's a perverse incentive for people to opt out, take the cash, and not get health care. We want to make sure everybody has health care. So if I'm reading this correctly, you can only opt out if you can show, per state law, that you have health care through your spouse or through some other way. And then if you opt out, you get the cash.
Danya Minasian, City Attorney. So I read the paragraph that reads an employee who opts out and on as doing what you just mentioned. The issue is that the paragraph right before that is asking to delete 186.04C, which is the whole structure of how the health payment is made. And that section says, if the hotel's hourly health benefit payment is less than required under this article, the difference shall be paid to the hotel worker as an additional hourly wage. Currently, if an employer provides insurance that's $4 an hour as opposed to $7.65 an hour, the employee gets that difference because what the city has done here is said, we think the value of a health plan should be $7.65. So that particular paragraph would incentivize employers potentially getting lesser insurance and not doing the full cash value of the $7.65. The second part of the ask is exactly what you said. They would have to prove the employee would have to prove that they have health insurance through a spouse or partner, and then they would be eligible to get the cash in lieu as phrased.
So that the second part makes sense to me. If your spouse has health insurance, you have an opportunity to get the cash because you're covered. Explain that first part. I didn't understand what you meant by creates an incentive.
So if I delete section 186.04C from the draft ordinance, it basically takes away the incentive for an employer to buy a $7.65 health plan. Because what you're doing is, as a council, you're saying the value of the work of an employee is $22.50 an hour plus $7.65 for the health benefit. We will give you a decrease in the amount that you have to pay as your total because you're providing a health benefit up to $7.65.
I'm still looking. So how would you fix that so that to make sure that there's not a perverse incentive there? Please. Yep. Please. Could you put his microphone on? Yeah.
When you read page 11, section 186.04, health benefits, under health benefits, beginning on July 1st, 2025, the health benefits required by this article shall consist of the payment by a hotel employer of at least $8.35 per hour to hotel workers towards the provision of health care benefits for a hotel worker and his or her dependents. It says shall. We know what shall means. So, and this is where I somewhat take exception. The council is the policy-making body. I don't want things being reinterpreted in a wrong way that sets the table incorrectly. What
do I think he drives?
The section that strikes
a white
out
Beamer?
in my amendment, what that section does is it creates a double benefit.
I don't know.
So you can, this is how it was explained to me. You can get the cash in lieu and you can get the difference if the difference comes back to the employee. So there was a lot of questions around this issue. So in order to clean it, it was a cash in lieu. Because part of the challenge here also is, and this is where I said, we're asking the employers to make a payment, but we don't know exactly at the back end what happens. I want to make sure the back end process is clean. The clean way of doing it is making it a cash in lieu.
Cash in lieu, my ass.
If I may, just, I want to explain how it works in the living wage context because
Can you pull the mic closer?
Please, louder.
the waiver is currently in the living wage ordinance. When someone applies for the waiver and demonstrates to BCA that they have insurance through their spouse or through their partner or through a parent, they don't get the extra health care benefit, $7.35. They just waive it. So they get the wage rate of $22.50, but because they already have health insurance, they don't get the extra $7. And so what I'm trying to say is Part C that's being eliminated doesn't apply when we're applying 186.04A and doing the opt-out.
So, but Mr. Azarian is saying that in this case, his amendment would say that they would get. He's basically giving them the cash.
No, because what we did is we mirrored the language of the living wage, which says nothing in this article shall limit the right of the DAA, which is BCA, to waive
slow down. Of the what?
Sorry, the DAA, the Designated Administrative Agency, which is BCA,
Okay.
to waive the provisions herein with respect to and at the request of an individual employee who is eligible for benefits under Medicare, a health plan through the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, or a health plan in which the employee's spouse, domestic partner, or parent is a participant or subscriber to another health plan. An employee who receives this waiver shall not be entitled to the hourly wage pursuant to, and the references to the health benefit of $7.35, which is what's proposed.
So under current law, if your spouse or if you have Medicare, you can opt out, but you don't get anything.
And I think what the proposed amendment says is that you can get $100 or $50, depending on the amendment, cash in lieu.
Come on, cash in lieu.
In lieu of the fact that you already have the health care. So this would be an additional benefit for the worker.
Correct.
So what was the negative incentive then?
The issue is with the paragraph before that, because that changes the structure of how it's currently drafted. So if an employer does not provide a health benefit at all, like does not provide health insurance, they need to pay the $7.35 to an employee.
Well,
if an
they're
employer,
being required to pay it under this motion, under the amendment, right? All employers are going to have to pay health care.
all employers have the option of paying health care or paying the $7.35 extra.
Right.
If you provide a health care plan that's $4, then the difference of $3.65, would be paid to the employee as a cash wage in addition to the $22.50. That's how it works now.
That's how it works now. Cash in lieu is what you want. So that's why there's concern on the first thing.
Because the value of the work is being qualified as the wage rate plus the health benefit amount.
So what's the negative? What is the negative of deleting that section then?
Well, if we remove that subsection C, then if an employer does not provide
so
the
many
health
amendments.
benefit,
That's what makes
then
it confusing.
we're telling them they don't
They
have
have
to
to
provide
carve
the
out these little things here and
$7.35
there.
to the employee.
So it
And
doesn't
then
blanket everybody.
the purpose of that is, or if they buy a lesser plan, $4 plan, we're saying you can provide the lesser plan.
Is there a way to write it to get what Mr. Nazarian's intent is?
I think there's a way we can work towards that. I would just need some time to work on that and bring it back to committee and discuss all the options.
Because I think, Mr. Nazarian, that your intent is not what they're saying. I know your intent is not that. So it's a question of redrafting that first bullet, I guess.
Hold on, Mr. Nazarian. I got Mr. Soto Martinez, Mr. McCosker, Mr. Lee, Councilmember Hernandez,
Everybody
and
wanna
then
talk.
Mr. Nazarian for round two.
Oh boy, everybody!
All right.
Oh man, I should have pulled the ripcord a long time ago.
Mr. President, thank you so much, Councilmember Nazarian, for bringing this forward. I think the intention is not bad. I think the intention is good. And just so level set with my colleagues, what the city attorney was saying is how I understand the process. Right now, there is a way that you can go through the BCA process when you have health insurance, either through a spouse or a parent, and the employer, in that case, wouldn't pay the health insurance for that person. Mr. Nazarian, I think, is very rightfully pointing out there are other systems in the state, even in the city. Some of us maybe here in this horseshoe have a spouse. I know someone on my staff has a spouse who has health insurance. And they went through a city process and they're getting a cash in lieu because they have health insurance. So that's what Mr. Nazarian is trying to do. And I think it's not a terrible idea. And we're trying to figure out some language in the last 24 hours.
I bet. They did nothing.
But
Sat on their hands.
The city attorney is, I think, rightfully pointing out is that if we delete that section, C, then what it could have some unintended consequences that now an employer can say, well, great, I don't need to pay the full amount. Let me get some really terrible health insurance that's like $2 an hour as opposed to the full amount. And they don't have to pay the worker the difference. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so again, intention good.
Yeah.
I think and there's some negative unintended consequences. Again, we were trying to figure out some of this language before, and I would add that we could direct BCA to let the employer know that the employer can offer a cash in lieu. We can do that today. We could also have more education about the workers who may be having something so that they can go through the process. I think there's a way to move forward. I just find it very difficult to have it work through all these details today. If it does end up going to committee, you have my commitment, Mr. Nazarian, that I will try to work through that and figure out. I think what you're trying to do is a good intention, but I don't know if we'll be able to figure it out today. But if it does go to committee, you have my commitment.
Mr. Lee, sorry. Mr. Lee. I know you're chomping at the bit, Mr. Nazarian, but Mr. Lee.
Just one question. 186.10C, does that include airport workers or is that just hotel?
186.04C is for hotel workers, but it makes reference to the living wage as well in 1037.
So does that include airport employees?
Both.
See, they're angry because their fingers in
So
all the
airport
pots.
if you do,
when it comes
if you
to the
have
travel
a spouse
industry,
that has,
the actual
there's
airport,
there's no additional payment.
the hotel industry, all of it. So they're
Mr.
angry
McCosker.
when they lose their money.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Things go up.
Thank you, Council
Instead
President.
of their
I
bad
just-
policy, they look
and
to blame other
Maybe if it's going to
people
go to
for
committee,
their
we don't
issue.
need to get into this more. But I just wanted more clarity on the incentive piece. I didn't understand that part when you mentioned it. Can you walk us through real quickly?
Yeah, so if Councilmember Nazarian's intent is just to add the cash in lieu, I think you accomplish that by starting with an employee who opts out. The paragraph right before that, where it's asking to delete section 186.04C, takes away the requirement that if you buy a health plan that's less than what we set as the value, you have to pay the employee the difference. So if you take that away, then an employer can go out and get less expensive health insurance or a cost that's less than $7.35 without having to pay the employee the difference. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you for making that super clear so I can understand. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Councilmember Nazarian to close on this item.
Even he was laughing.
So my goal is to move this forward today and not have it go to committee. If deleting the delete section moves this forward today, then we'll move it forward. I'll be fine with that.
All right, so you amended your item to delete. Can I ask the clerk to read out the section that Mr. Nazarian is referring to?
Okay.
That would be to delete section 186.04.c, and that is parentheses health benefits, correct, Councilmember?
So basically take out the word delete and just put amend, right? You're amending that section to add this.
Okay, so then,
It's actually not in that section. We would be amending the waiver provision. So what the waiver provision would, instead of saying you're not entitled to the hourly wage pursuant to the health benefit, it would say you're entitled to an hourly wage pursuant to, and then your amendment.
Mr. McCosker?
Jesus Christ, his mic is hot.
I'm sure that drafting language on the floor is always a dangerous thing, having
All
sat at
right.
that table and tried to do it myself. Can we give it 5-10 minutes and make sure we see the language that we're voting on? I mean, I think I hear everyone's intent. We don't want to do, once again, vote on a provision that reduces pay for somebody.
Bill Clinton
But I think we also want, it sounds like we want to put employees in a position where they will make a rational choice, that they'll take the $100 if they're already covered. I think we want everybody to be whole or to be able to make a rational choice. Can we have 5-10 minutes and see what the language is?
All right, thank you, Mr. McCosker. If this is okay with Mr. Nazarian, Madam Clerk, we have item 5F as in flurry. If we can take up item 5F as in flurry, I think that one's a little bit more straightforward. I actually have what I hope is a friendly to the maker of this, Councilwoman Rodriguez. If we could get reports back at 6 and 12 months.
We knew.
If that's okay with you, I'd like to offer that as a friendly.
After the implementation
Yeah.
of the.
Yeah, at a 6-month and a 12-month period, all right?
Oh,
So we'll take up 5F as in flurry. Councilmember Rahman?
I had a similar question, but just asked whether we could, so this would be a 6 months after implementation of the full health benefit, which would be next July.
Well, I think the intention is 6 months like December. Is
Of this
that your
year?
intention? Yes.
No, so if I could just and then I can sit down, which is I would love to get
Noodle, 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 noodle.
an update every 6 months on health indicators for the industry as part of this work before and after, as we move it forward in implementation of this, no matter the phasing.
Got it. Councilmember Rodriguez, you good with these?
Yeah, I mean, the goal of this is to measure the actual impact. And so if you have no implementation of the healthcare subsidy, if that's delayed, then what are you actually measuring in terms of the impact? So the whole purpose of this report back is to ensure that we actually get data that is relevant and pertinent to the actual implications of
Got it. Okay, so we're doing report, Councilmember Rahman.
Noodle, 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 noodle.
So I think we want it a year from now and then 6 months after implementation of the full healthcare benefit. All right?
Councilmember Rahman, would you please restate the sentence for item number 3, instruct the CLA to report back to the Economic Development and Jobs Committee. Could you please restate your amendment, please?
I just want to ask for the impacts on the tourism industry before and after we do this, especially given the discussion that we've had on potential negative impacts coming up.
Is that sufficient, Madam Clerk?
So, Councilmember, are you saying instruct the CLA to report back to the Economic Development and Jobs Committee in 6 and 12 months following the implementation of both the cash wage and health benefit payment increases regarding their impacts on the tourism industry before and after? No? Okay.
Yes, she's saying yes. She's saying that's fine. So we want to know before and we want to know after.
Before, so 6 months before the implementation and 6 months after the implementation. Thank you.
So theoretically, it's December 2025 and December 2026.
I want to know your projected bullshit impact.
And is there a second to Councilmember Rahman's amendment?
By then, Trump
Mr.
has
McCosker
burnt the
seconds.
world down. There's nothing left. We've got no money. We're all sponsored by Brondo. Something like that. I'm waiting for it.
Okay, and just for the record, that is to report back 6 months before and after the implementation of both the cash wage and health benefit pay increases regarding their impacts on the tourism industry, and to report back 12 months following. So,
All right, let's open, that's been moved and seconded. Let's open the roll on that item, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
All right. All right. Madam City Attorney, Councilmember Nazarian, we any closer, or do we still need a recess?
Well, we'll need a recess to make the changes, but I think I can, if it's voted, I can make the change. I will just need to change. Sorry. If this is voted, I will have to make the changes to the draft.
Okay, but do we know what we're voting on? That's the question.
I believe we do.
Councilmember Nazarian?
I can state it out loud if.
Please.
Okay. So it would change section 186.10 entitled waivers, C, where it says waiver by employee, The division may waive the health provisions of sections 186.04 with respect to and at the request of an individual hotel worker who is eligible for benefits under Medicare, a health plan through the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, or a health plan in which the hotel worker's spouse, domestic partner, or parent is a participant or subscriber to another health plan. A hotel worker who receives this waiver shall only be entitled to the hourly wage pursuant to, and that's the $22.50, and we can add the language here that's in the motion, 100 monthly for full-time employees as defined by the Affordable Care Act, at least 30 hours per week or at least 130 hours per month, or $50 monthly for a half-time employees as defined by the Affordable Care Act, less than 30 hours per week or less than 130 hours per month. And the exact same change would need to be made, which we would need to add to the living wage, which is 1037.15, subsection E. So it would be a very similar change to what I just read.
Shit. I know shit's bad right now with all that
Does
starving
that
bullshit.
effectuate your
and the
request?
dust storms, and we running out of
I
French
believe
fries
so.
and
I
burrito
thought in the
covers.
initial part I heard only hotel workers.
The initial part is the hotel worker ordinance, but there's two places we need to change. The second place that needs to be changed is in the living wage ordinance, and it's section 1037.15E.
E is in Edward. E is in Echo. Man, why you beating on your mic, son? What you beating on your mic for?
I just need enough time to effectuate that if that's going to happen today.
All right, so we're gonna, so hopefully this works for the need for time that we have at this moment. We can take a vote on Mr. Nazarian's motion. If it succeeds, you need time to write it up. We have closed session that we have to go to.
Right,
Hopefully
there it
that's
is.
enough time for you to get that, and after closed session, we can come back and we can vote on the full package. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
All right. Mr. McCosker.
Please. While everyone's working on that, I do have something related. I want to call Con Ed to the table, see if Mr. Reamer is available, just to talk about
Reamer.
what looks like
Bring
will be
Reamer
the
on down.
passage and implementation of monitoring and enforcing. Can I have a few minutes with him?
Please. Yes, please.
Come on, Reamer. Come on
so
down. Bring that
Mr.
dildo
Reamer,
you
thanks
use
very
to
much for
jab
being
it
here. I know
deep
you've been following this
inside your
carefully.
asshole.
Been following this at the lead committee and also at, you've given us some advice at Budget and Finance about what it will take to make sure that we are enforcing these provisions should they pass. Can you just give us a reminder of the requests that we have in the budget and the consideration that we have on Friday for the rack-up for Con Ed to see if we can make sure that we are tracking, processing exemptions, but most importantly, enforcing these important provisions.
$1, Bob.
Yes, I can. John Reamer, the Inspector of Public Works Director.
Johnny
of Bureau of
Reamer
Contract
over
Administration.
here.
Thank you, Council Member. For this particular item, we presented a request in response to Council asking us to do so for 5 positions: a compliance program manager, 3 management analysts, and a data analyst. And for the purpose of much of what is being discussed right now, the administrative as well as the investigative work that will be associated with this ordinance. The hotel ordinance, as it currently reads, is right of action. We do not have the investigative responsibilities. This ordinance changes that. This ordinance also provides, or actually directs the Bureau of Contract Administration to take on the responsibility of financial waivers. Any hotel that feels as though they or believes that they are able to be exempt will submit to us requests to have that determination, and we will have to do the due diligence to go through their data to ensure that they either do or do not meet those requirements. as this goes into effect, we will need to be able to address that as quickly as possible. This ordinance also requires an educational component with
Right.
respect to training, that we will also be responsible for monitoring a third-party trainer to ensure that employees are well aware of what they should expect under this ordinance.
Sure. So just to be super clear, right, currently, the enforcement is driven by a private right of action, and the direction in this new structure is that enforcement responsibility will also be put on the Bureau of Contract Administration, ConAd, your bureau, correct?
That is correct.
And in response to that, what you have asked for are positions to build up your personnel. And in Budget and Finance, we had asked the CLA to include in the final committee report to council recommendations for funding and position authorities for 1 compliance program manager, 1 data analyst, and 3 MAs, management analyst positions, as were also outlined in the BCA and the city attorney report that submitted its analysis to the Economic Development Committee, correct?
That is correct.
I just want to be really super clear. When we head to our rack up and when we come here, what we do today affects what we do on Friday and what we do when the document is presented to this full council and then presented to the mayor. We can pass all the laws we want and we can say we have enforcement authority, but if we don't give ourselves, if we don't make those sacrifices, and the sacrifices will come at other positions and other services, if we don't put money and positions into Mr. Reamer's department, this will be a fiction.
That is true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCosker. Madam Clerk, are we prepared to entertain a vote on Mr. Nazarian's amendment?
Yes, Mr. President. So the 5G as revised is available for the council to vote on now, sir.
All right, so item 5G is before us. Let's open the roll. Councilmember Hernandez?
Have we gotten that amended language, or was it just the one that was read out?
I think we're voting on what was recited to us.
Can that be recited to us one more time?
All right? Okay.
Weren't you
After the
paying attention
recitation,
the
well,
first
before the
fucking
recitation
time?
of what's before us, we'll hear from Councilmember Soto Martinez, who's passing. All right? All right, here we go.
I actually gave my version to my colleagues to try to effectuate it all, but my understanding is that we're deleting the first paragraph of the amending motion and just saying that to amend the ordinance to make sure an employee who opts out of the required health benefit as required by section 186.04A in a manner that meets all the requirements set forth in Bureau of Contract Administration's opt-out procedure shall be entitled to a cash in lieu in the amounts and then the 2 bullet points. And also that would be the same waiver provision for the living wage ordinance.
Sorry, Council President, may I ask just one more question, please?
Yes.
So just to confirm, this is going to change our living wage ordinance?
This will have to change the waiver provision to allow for the cash in lieu if someone proves that they have insurance through other means.
Okay, so they have to have
Councilmember Bloomfield?
their own insurance.
Just to be real clear,
Then they'll be
the way
able
I
to
see
get
this,
the
this
cash
is now
in lieu.
additive.
I get it.
So this is a benefit that current workers do not have, that we are adding in, saying, workers, if you can show under state law that you have other health care, you're entitled to a certain amount of money. It may not be exactly the $8 amount, but it's $100 monthly and $50 monthly. It's more than you're getting now.
That's my understanding.
Okay, just wanted to be clear of what we're looking at. This is an added benefit for the worker who, and again, it's a small percentage of workers, less than 10%, who have health care otherwise, and this gives them a chance to get some additional benefit since they're already...
The ones that are wealthy enough to have the insurance will get the benefit.
That
The
is
other
my
ones won't.
Thank you.
The other ones will just get their
All right.
insurance and still stay at
Mr.
that
Soto
same
Martinez.
rate.
Thank you for those
Yes, and
clarifying
that's how it'll
questions. I just
be.
want to be super clear. It's when you recited it's section 186.10 C, and we're just adding additional language. Is that correct?
It's not, it's added into the waiver provisions. Let me pull it so I can tell
I'll
you.
just wait till we get the full language and then wait. Sorry, we're gonna vote on it now. Pardon. Okay. Any 6 point, so please, which part of the section?
So in the living wage, it would be section 10.37.15E. And in the hotel minimum wage, it would be section 186.10 capital C, where it would be added.
Okay, that's what I heard. Okay, thank you.
All right. Seeing no other speakers on this amendment, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
You go, Castro.
14 ayes, 1 no.
All right.
Park was the only one, huh? Tracy Park.
Please recap.
So at this time, council can vote on item 5, that is the right now, just to recap on all the different amendments that were passed. So what was passed was item 5G as in George. That is motion Nazarian Blumenfield. And what also passed is 5E as in Edward, and that is motion Padilla, McCosker, Yaroslavsky. Amendment 5D as in dog was motion Hutt, Price. Amendment 5B as in boy, and that is motion Harris Dawson, Rahman for Yaroslavsky. And the final amendment that was adopted by council today is 5F as in Frank, and that is motion Rodriguez, Padilla, Lee, Price, Yaroslavsky, sir.
All right.
He's chewing gum too.
That item is before us. Let's open the roll.
He's the president.
I'm getting
Can't
looks from the
knock her
clerk.
for doing it when he's doing it. He got stank breath. He needs some.
All right, there's a
spearmint,
request to hold the item on the
double
desk to
mint
give the
to
city
control the
attorney
breath.
time to produce the
All right,
proper
everybody.
documentation given the changes that were made. Madam Clerk, we have closed session at this time.
Yes, sir. That would be closed session on item 21, sir.
All right, everybody,
All
get
right,
out.
given the large number of people in the chamber, I want to see if we can do closed session behind chambers, if there is enough room for the city attorneys and the council and staff. All right, so this council will go into closed session and we will retire to the rear of the chambers.
All right, so there it is. They'll go to closed session. They'll dilly-dally back there. They'll eat some croissants and some fucking Starbucks coffee on our dime. And we'll figure it out later. All that time wasted. Hey, let's watch and see where the fraud is spelled wrong. I'm going to spell check my own city. God damn it. Can't believe it. Terrible, man. They can't get nothing right. They had, like Richard said, they had months to figure this out. You know, and they figured it out today, and then they're cutting out every single different amendment here and there. Then they don't get along. Boy, oh boy, get nothing done. And it's always somebody else's fault. Always. Always. It's usually the orange guy. Okay? It's always that guy. Okay? It's easy to blame it on him. In fact, you see the little ruts in the road right here? All because of the orange guy. See that squash bug on the screen right there? That was the orange guy's fault. He told the bug to fly into the camera in protest. Well, it's good to see the 5 freeway flowing. I mean, it is 1 o'clock. People should be at work, I guess. People shouldn't be leaving work at 1. They shouldn't, but they might. Yeah. Spell check the city. They do spell some shit wrong, I can't lie. They have the DEI spell checker. There is Fruad Lumen. I agree, Status. But you better not say it. Over here telling some truths, and you know where that'll get you. You know where that'll get you. No, we will not. We will not be live tonight. Oh, yes, that is next to Dodger Stadium. That is right there. That is right there, man. Coming up to the 5 freeway. Dodger Stadium is just up the hill. Speaking of Dodgers, don't they play today? Pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they do. It is art. All kinds of fruad. It's terrible. Yeah, sure, they need to clean it. Probably a bird duke. Probably pigeons sitting on there. One would assume. It was crazy though. While you guys are watching the thing, it was jam packed. About, I don't know, 20 minutes ago maybe. Both of these lanes were completely solid, and still the other 2 lanes were kind of congested. And here's the tip of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, you see the lane closest to the yellow line? Don't go in that lane when you need to go on the 5. See where this red truck is coming in? That lane right there? You need to be in that lane. Because you can make a left. You can make a left going north onto the 5 in either lane. So you'll sit like cattle in that very first lane. So don't do that. I'm trying to tell you, you'll get 100 car lengths easy. And even when you're coming around the bend, you're merging, but there's not a lot of traffic merging into you on that next exit. So it's still a good lane to be in. So I'm going to let you know. That's a little pro lane tip for you. And if anybody is a person that knows this intersection and drives this area, they know that I'm fucking right. They fucking know I'm right, even though they hate me and my opinions and all that. They're like, right now, motherfucker, he had to say that because he's right. I fucking hate this son of a bitch, but he's right. That's what they're saying right now. Well, I'm just saying, TJ, if you ever are, if fate changes and you take a trip to fabulous Los Angeles, you go over the 110 North, you go up to Pasadena, South Pasadena. It's a nice area. It's a nice place, Old Town Pasadena. It's a fun place to be. You go to the Rose Parade. A lot of people love to go. A lot of people come here and go to the Rose Parade. And by the way, this is the very first freeway in the entire nation. Pretty significant. And you can see when you do the exits are very, like they're hairpin turns and shit. Like Foles was rocking, a horse and buggy on this bitch up here. So this is a pretty significant highway. Doesn't run very long. Well, at least this portion of it, because this is the original portion. They added on to it, cutting through South LA. But this is all original portions of the 110. So the Doodah Parade, yup, you can go see the Doodah Parade. It's a fun little place. And then you're back down in downtown, Little Tokyo, Chinatown. Go get the culture up in you. Go to Olvera Street. Right? That's what it used to be about. I'm sorry, Richard. But I'm right, Richard. They don't listen to me, Richard. Doesn't matter. I'm telling people things till they blue in their face. They don't listen. So it don't matter, Richard. We'll still be in that lane. We'll still be flying by. Because we're not cattle, Richard. And we value our time. So that if I could just get 3 more minutes back and not have to sit in the car, I'm glad. Hey, that was a win. That was a fucking win. Because I want to know, you staying in that lane, you're going to get it. Notice how it's starting to thicken up now, the traffic, right? Starting to get a bit more. I mean, it's only going to get worse, I assure you. But, yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's it, Jack. That's it. That's it. Oh, man. So, shit, yeah, it's hump day. Half the week is over. Hopefully the LA City Council is bigger and better this coming Friday. Because last couple have been pretty turdy. And dude, this one we didn't get anybody. But this is a hot topic issue. I assure you, like I said, it's 1 o'clock now here. So I'd say by 2 o'clock they'd probably get it. So definitely by your 3 o'clock news, which is most newscasts, will have something at 3. You're going to see all over your Twitter feeds, all that shit. You're going to see this issue if you follow things that go on with it in LA. Because it's a pretty hotbed issue. Now, that's a cool little hot rod right there. That's cool. So, yeah, I think you shall see the results. I mean, of course, you guys can go watch. I'm going to pull the ripcord here because I don't know how long they could take another hour back there just dicking around. You know what I mean? But I'm going to be honest, I wanted to hear the explosion of the crowd either way, whether they were happy and cheering because they got their way or they were angry because they didn't get their way. And I almost don't want them to get their way just to see if they would still vote for these people, and I bet they would. I bet they would, even though they got smacked in the face by the people that they voted for already, you know? Yeah, I don't give my money there, Art. I told you, you guys are always telling me about the Star Wars stuff. I've never seen The Mandalorian. I've never seen any of any of that stuff. And I used to love Star Wars. I did. And then they bought it and they killed it. They killed the series, in my opinion. You know? Just my opinion. Yeah, what can you do? That's it. I'm about to pull my ripcord. Boom. I will see you guys on Friday for 2 shows. 10:15 a.m. for the LA City Council. Hopefully it's better than this one. And, of course, our 8 o'clock Friday night crime wave party. And, of course, keep the notifications on because you never know when we'll get a chase. And knowing my luck, in 12 minutes from now, we'll get us a chase. I'll call the you in here, and then it'll end abruptly as soon as you guys get in here. I'm sure of it. I mean, it's so true. Just my luck. So keep the notifications on. Maybe it'll get us a good chase today. Who knows? It's a nice day, as you can see. Beautiful, sunny spring day. Other than that, thank you for all the donations. Thank you for the likes, the love. The donos are beautiful, and the thumbs ups work, and they are free. So thank you for all that. I will see you guys on Friday. And on behalf of old Stink Bomb, who didn't show up today, and myself, I'm out of here for now. Maybe I'll see you later today. If not, on Friday. Bye.
This party is officially over.
Yeah, you guys. I'm a king.